some well-deserved time off. We also have Matthew Rocchio in studio trying to figure out how to fix my camera. This happens every single show, Dan. I don't know if they thought that when they originally fixed these cameras, I guess they thought I would be somewhere over here on the wall.
On the wall.
And so they just put it over there every single morning. So this is something we go to.
By a couple of feet?
It just by a couple.
Yeah.
Just
well,
a
they
little
got it
bit
back.
there.
Matthew got it rolling, so we're ready to go. No big deal.
Yes. And on this Wednesday, we have a lot going on for you guys. We're going to have Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney is who we're going to talk to. We're also going to talk to Jamie Rivers. And also, we're going to have a treat. We're going to have Cardinals Spanish language broadcaster Bengie Molina in studio to talk about all things Cardinals. But last night, the Billikens, they were able to survive against Rhode Island, so they are continuing in the A-10 tournament, 74-71, the final score, and they will face Duquesne tonight at 7:30. Also yesterday, the Cardinals were able to beat the Red Sox 8-6. If you like just little things to look for, Dan, I would say one of the biggest things is that we keep talking about these new outfield openings, and it was a big day for Alec Burleson and for Victor Scott II. Alec Burleson.
Well, he's making it. Victor Scott is making it tough for them to say, you know what, and I'm one of them. I'm one of those people that says probably more seasoning in the minor leagues. He's played 163 minor league games. And he hasn't been to the major leagues, but he has opened up so many eyes. And I know we're going to talk more about this later in the show. And the other guy that has solidified his spot on the team is Alec Burleson because of the injuries. And you would think if opening day was tomorrow, you'd have Alec Burleson in left, Dylan Carlson in center, maybe, and Jordan Walker in right. So those two guys are making an impression and doing exactly what you hope they would do in spring training.
I don't know, Dan. I think I'm all aboard the Victor Scott hype train at this point. If anybody else wants to join, because it feels like at this point that he is just not knocking on the door. He is absolutely taking down the door to be able to be a part of this major league roster.
So you're good with just 163 minor league games?
I'm fine with it. I've seen other players before. Didn't Paul Goldschmidt skip AAA?
I have no idea.
I believe that he did. I remember correctly, if I do remember correctly, I think Andrew Benintendi did it as well. We have seen it before. If you're that talented, to me, I'm all about rewarding hard work. If it pays off, then you should get that opportunity and that chance. Did he skip it?
Yeah, good call, Brooke. He had just played 103 games in Double-A, and they brought him up late in the 2011 season, where he then played 48 games for the Diamondbacks in the regular season.
Michael Harris II, I think, is another one that skipped Double-A. Oh, yeah, it's happened for sure. And if you had the complement of your everyday lineup, let's say Tommy Edman would be in there, Lars Nootbaar in left, I think we're not having this conversation, but now you have to have the conversation the way that he's playing.
And if the idea is, well, what's going to happen to him? Could it be detrimental to his long-term progress if he kind of gets shell shocked by going to the MLB? My thing is that that's only an issue because you can just send him down if that happens. That's only an issue if you're really worrying about starting his clock too early. Like those things are connected. It's like, well, are you really that worried about him just taking a shock to the system the first 2 weeks, batting 125 and then getting sent down? You really think that's just going to mentally destroy a guy? Or are you worried that, we just started the clock already?
Both. A little bit of both.
But it bothers me that the clock is still probably a factor. I think that's becoming an annoying variable for Cardinals fans. It's real. You have to consider it. But I think that's another thing that annoys Cardinals fans when we have this discussion.
When he comes up, though, he's got to play. You can't make him your fourth outfielder. He needs to be an everyday player in center field. So, I'm excited about it just like everybody else. And the more that this spring training goes along, I lean towards the idea of bringing him up. And you got, 2 weeks to go? So maybe it happens. I would love to see it because here's the other thing, man. This is the entertainment business.
Yes.
This is the entertainment business. And people would love to watch him play. And I'm one of them. So I look forward to the day that he arrives. We'll see if that day is opening day.
By the way, he stole his fourth base of the spring yesterday. And I thought, just to point this out real quick, and we're going to discuss this more at 8, but I'm going to show this on the YouTube chat right now. You can also see yesterday he posted on his Instagram breaking down doors like I forgot to knock. So I think he's putting the pressure on the Cardinals currently.
I wouldn't say his Instagram is.
Maybe.
No. You think they care about his Instagram unless he's going off on something that's like antisocial or something? frustrating?
Probably. But I think it's more of the mentality that he has right now that he's going to put the pressure on the Cardinals to give
With
him
his
this
play.
opportunity. Exactly.
With his play.
And his Instagram post.
Yes. Look, I would love to see him. I've said that now multiple times this morning, and he has a great chance to potentially make this team. And it's entertainment. He would make it fun. He'd get on base. He'd put so much pressure on the defense. So I'd look forward to it when it happens.
I'm sorry, you guys mentioned an exciting Cardinals outfielder on Instagram, and I almost passed out. No, just let's not even make a foray into the conversation about young Cardinals in outfielders and the perils of Instagram. I don't want to get into that again.
No.
Okay.
That is a bad idea.
Don't go live. Make your cryptic little post there, Victor, but do not go live.
So are you referring to Randy?
Of course I'm referring to Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
Of course I am.
Well, there's a big difference between
How
the
did we
two
get here?
right now.
Yeah, there's a difference. I mean, posting a picture is one thing, but going live on Instagram, yeah, that's a little different, especially when it's closed doors and your boss is talking in a way that probably you didn't expect. I do think, weren't you shocked when you saw Mike Schilt do that?
I did, because of course, you know Mike Schilt very well. And of course, he could be a tough guy, but I was not expecting to see the cursing. For some reason, it just felt wrong seeing him curse like that. I don't know why. I know that he did it, but it was shocking to see him do that.
Okay,
in
guys,
a funny way.
If it ended today, right now, spring training, is Victor Scott on your team?
He's on mine.
In a heartbeat. It's not even a question at this point.
He has played only 66 games at AA. Again, though, he's knocking down doors, like he said, so I'd love to watch it, though. I think it'd be fun to see.
It would. And speaking of social media, I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but Nick Saban is being talked about quite a bit right now. So yesterday on Capitol Hill with the U.S. Senate building in front of several sitting senators and political figures, Nick Saban spoke out about NIL and why he thinks that it has ruined college football.
Well, all the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast, and she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this?
Those comments did not go over well with many on social media, Dan, and I think it might be pretty easy to tell because Nick Saban did make quite a bit of money during his time as the head coach at Alabama. And so when you hear that, finally players getting their cut of what they were able to do and accomplish at the university, you're seeing college athletes who get paid. I do understand that maybe some are getting more than others feel like they deserve, but at the same time, when you've seen college football and college sports in general benefit from these athletes for so long where they're not getting any of that revenue in, it kind of makes it hard to really feel bad for him in that situation.
How about the timing of when he says this, too, when you have the big dance coming up, and that's, an $8 billion industry? So the timing wasn't great for me because when you sit there and watch those kids, you realize how much money they are bringing the NCAA. It's hypocritical. To me, it's hypocritical for coaches to begrudge kids for making money. And, yes, there's some people out there that say, well, you're getting a free education and room and board. When you add it up to what that kid is getting compared to what they're generating, it isn't even close. So I want to see these kids get paid. I think it's a smart thing to do, and it's their opportunity. Now, maybe they need to unionize to make sure that other sports, the lesser sports, see a part of the pie. That's part of it, too. But when coaches are making $10 to $12 million a year and their kids aren't getting a piece of the pie, that doesn't sound right to me. It's, we live in a society that you earn that money that you put, for instance, you put a kid on the field, he's taking his life in his own hands in a lot of ways, and he's putting out for the college, he's putting out for his family, and he should get paid. I just believe that players should get paid. That's the way it should be.
Well, I remember seeing, did you watch the Johnny Manziel documentary?
Yes.
On Netflix? And when he talked about how he went to a team store and he saw his jersey everywhere and seeing how much people were spending on his jerseys. And he's like, why am I not getting a piece of this? Why am I not getting a piece of any of that? Because he was such a big figure at the time. And he is one of many stories that we've seen in college athletics where for a while, which I know he talked about behind the scenes, he was getting some money, but for a while they weren't getting a piece of that revenue when their name is plastered all over the place.
Should we knock a kid for signing autographs? No. It's their likeness on, as you mentioned, the jerseys and what the school is doing to promote their games that generate 80,000 people in a stadium on Saturday. Those kids deserve it, man. I'm a big believer that college, and I've been saying this for a long time, I'm a big believer that college athletes should be paid. Now, give you an example. My brother was a Division I football player at a very high school. I mean, he went to Boston College and played there. He got recruited. He was a high recruit, and he was lucky enough to be able to, if they didn't make a bowl, like fly home for the holidays. We could afford a plane ticket, not a lot, but he got to come home for the holidays. There were kids that he played with that didn't have enough money to go back home and experience a holiday with their families. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. None of it whatsoever.
No, and some of this has been life-changing money for these college student athletes as well. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen where this has actually been a huge benefit, and it's more than just the money aspect of it. Name, image, and likeness actually gives people the right to do more with their name, image, and likeness more, even for those who are in volleyball, softball, sports that maybe not are as
tennis.
Popular, tennis as well, where you can actually finally have control of your name, image, and likeness and host a camp and do different things like that where you can finally profit off of your abilities.
636 says he isn't upset the kids are making money, which I agree. He did state that. He is upset that all they care about is the money. I think that it's, you know what, when you're coming out of high school, you're a free agent. That's the way I would look at it. And some of these kids come from socioeconomic backgrounds that do not help them because they're in tough spots. And if you can go out there and make the most money you can, I'm all for it. Rocc, you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, I think it's funny that people really pick and choose when you're allowed to be greedy in this country. That's my thing. It's just like, when are you allowed to prioritize money over everything else? Not if you're going to play football for my university, you can't do that. Now, if you're out here, working a job, I don't care how much money you make. Go make as much money as possible. But if you want to come to my university and win football championships for my team, well, you better not want to make as much money as possible. I mean, every step of this is a hypocritical argument at every level, from the fan level to the administrator level to the coach level. It's a hypocritical argument pretty much on every level.
From the 636, they're not getting a piece of schools' revenue, though. They're receiving donor funds through NIL, alumni funds, which is very, very true. I'm talking more about the bigger piece of the pie of the revenue that you're seeing coming in when you're talking about March Madness. That is making so much money. College football, now you're going to have this 12-team playoff format. All that money that it's going to be bringing in. We saw how many people were watching these games here recently for the college football playoffs. There's a lot of money that is coming in there.
Let's see. The 314 said, the kids are kids. I was there as a college athlete. Would have been nice to get paid. It would have changed my attitude. It would have changed others' attitude that I worked with because it's more about the payday than the sport. I agree with that to an extent. I think there are certain kids that just look at their athletic ability. It's a short shelf life, and they say, I want to maximize it, and this is my way to get some money for me and for my family. I'm all about it.
Sometimes people do stuff not for the love of the game, but because they got to make some money. Like, that's just life.
That's their gift.
There's a lot of people who are just out here working and doing the thing they're doing because it pays good, not because they actually love it. And also, I think the point about it not being revenue and it being that's the NCAA's fault. If they would have been proactive in this, they could have made this an employment function, and it could have functioned with salary caps, and there could have been revenue sharing, and there could have been all of these things. But they kept saying, no, we refuse to ever let that happen. And they built the dam, and the dam broke, and they only have themselves to blame. If they were proactive, then this would be more like just employment. It would be a lot more simplified, and it would be less dangerous for the players involved, and that'd be better. But that's not what happened.
618 says, to me, Saban is okay with them getting paid. He did state that, but he does not like how it's being done. I think that's fair. And I'll go back to the point of unionizing the kids or the group of football players, unionize them, unionize the basketball players. So is it split equitably? No. Bronny James is getting $6 million to play for USC. He's a different animal. I mean, you want to take care of Bronny James. Not only is he a good player, but maybe dad looks at that and says, they're taking care of my son. And that's what these families, I think, want too, is that take care of my kid, but also I want a piece of the pie. I want to make sure that my kid is being taken care of, but we need the help financially, so why not make the money at college?
And maybe this is, too, why Nick Saban is speaking out, because he wants to see some change. I think there's been a lot of coaches who talked not only about NIL, he spoke about the transfer portal as well, and we've discussed that, where it has definitely gotten out of hand at this point. But what can you do to fix it?
I don't know if you can right now, unless you unionize and the NCAA comes in with a system that works for everybody. I don't think you can. I think you just go to the highest bidder. Go to the highest bidder, make the most money you can.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
And spread it out.
Spread it out. So I'm in.
I agree. I think that at this point you should unionize it. There should be some sort of players association to help this as well, to really help them. I don't know, I guess not just compete in this, but to make this fair for everyone. And hopefully it's something that can be solved through that. And the transfer portal is something that has to be looked at this point.
Let's see. The 573 says it's the parents that frustrate the coaches, not the kids. The kids are kind of the conduit from the parent to the coach. I think they get frustrated that they just can't keep the kids. They need to re-recruit them. They need to figure out NIL. You know, SLU's a good example. SLU basketball is trying to figure that out as we talk right now. And we had Travis Ford on last week, and he said, you know, I got to re-recruit my kids. That's the way this thing works. And it's just a new age of college sports, and people are going to have to get on board.
They will. I mean, this is just part of it right now. I just wish that, as to your point, Rocc, that the NCAA would have been ahead of this a little bit more, so we wouldn't have had this chaos, because you are going to continue to lose a lot of great college coaches, and that's another part of this argument.
How about Chip Kelly leaving UCLA to go and become an offensive coordinator? That's something you have to think about. The Boston college head coach. These are head coaches that are done with this. They're like, man, this is just too much. I don't want to deal with it. But he left to become a coordinator, I believe, with the Packers. So these head coaches are like, this is too much.
Yeah, am I crazy that Chip Kelly's move was, I want to do a little bit less work? Like, I want to work a little bit less hard.
Part of that, yes, because I have to re-recruit my kids.
Yeah,
I'm trying to go recruit. I can't keep my own kids. NIL has become a pain in the butt. Yeah, so, I mean, it's less work, but still.
Just let me draw up passing concepts.
Just let me be an offensive coordinator.
I'm just saying, like, and no one's faulting him for doing that. That was a personal decision he made, and no one's holding it against him like he hates football or doesn't do it for the love of the game anymore. No one's making assumptions about his reasonings for it, because we don't do that with coaches, but apparently we need to do it with every player.
Have you seen all the kids that are jumping from Alabama since they got a new head coach? Some are jumping from Nick Saban. If you were a top-end college player, it'd be hard to turn down Alabama because of how many draft choices they are turning out, and a lot of these kids believe they should be playing at the next level or want to play at the next level. And if you're going to do that, you go to Alabama.
You do. And now things have changed, which is another benefit of NIL and what it's been able to bring, and the transfer portal, because if you're a college, say like Mizzou, and you're able to really work it in your favor, then now you're competing more with the juggernauts of the SEC and in college football. So there's pluses and minuses to it as well.
By the way, we have the Blues on tonight. They start a 4-game homestand. Puck drop is at 6:30, and we got 17 games to play. The Blues are in the 10th spot. They are trailing Vegas. Vegas won last night against the Kraken. Vegas with 77 points, the Blues with 69. Tough to go with 17 games to play, but it fires up tonight. We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. At this point, is this a playoff team to you?
No.
I know we got to get to break, but is this a playoff team to you?
They haven't done it all year.
No.
You know, they'd have to win to get to, I always keep bringing this up, you got to have about roughly mid-90s, 95, 96 points to be the 8th seed. Unless they go on a tear, which they haven't done all year, I just don't see it happening.
No. Well, that's Dan. I'm Brooke. Coming up next, I know that Randy isn't here, but we are going to continue this in his honor. We have Ask Uncle Randy coming up next, so get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And you can ask, should we call you Uncle Danny?
No. I think they can ask the collective group, because mine would just go off the rails and then I'd get fired with some of the life questions that are brought in. I'm going to get my yo-ho out of the way right now.
Randy today?
I just got my yo-ho out of the way. So 314-399-9646. I actually thought that we should call Randy in Arizona, wake him up and say, this is the segment you gotta be a part of. This is Ask Uncle Randy. No, Rocc, we're not doing it.
My brain is always cognizant of how, when I'm texting certain people to come on this show, it's always what state of mind are they in? And I have one mantra, which is I try not to text people on vacation or their birthday. And that's why I also want to, I'm sorry to Brad Thompson for like last year when I did text him on his birthday. Because we were doing a show and Randy was like, it's BT's birthday, let's get him on. And I was like, cool, break a tenant. But I try, if you're on vacation or it's your birthday, I try not to contact you other than to say, enjoy the sun, enjoy your birthday.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, we have Ask Uncle Danny. I'm going to say it anyways.
No,
and
the
Brooke
group.
and Cousin Rockio coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
A question for Uncle Randy? Let him dive into his infinite well filled with wisdom to find you answers. Text 314-399-9646. It's Ask Uncle Randy on 101 ESPN.
Opening drive, Brooke, Dan, and Rockio here, and it is now time for Ask Uncle Randy. Now, I know that Randy is here because obviously you didn't hear me mention his name, but we do have, I believe, a wealth of knowledge, especially with Danny Mac in the room. That's where I'm saying the wealth of knowledge is coming from.
No,
I'm just
stop
here.
That. You have
I'm
to be
just here.
No. You have to. For instance, it says, "Dear Auntie Brooke on this.
Oh,
is it
Auntie
Auntie or Auntie? I don't know how you say it.
I like the auntie. Okay, so with the combination of all three of us, we can
Yes.
do our best Uncle Randy impression as possible. So what do we have on the text line, Rocc?
I like this first one right off the bat. Somebody says, I don't like Dan's new facial hair. Can we get a charity to donate and get Dan to shave it all off? I like the clean cut Dan.
I'm in. If you want to donate money, I will shave this. You can donate it to the charity I've supported, which my golf tournament has raised over $5 million for the Special Education Foundation. If you would like to write a check for me to take off what is really a bad-looking beard, and I'll admit that, it looks terrible. If you want to do that, I'm more than happy to take that check, give it to the Special Education Foundation, and I will shave.
There you go. I like that. What's also wrong with facial hair?
I don't think there's anything wrong. Some people don't
Have you
like
looked
it.
at this?
Some people really
It
don't
look-
like
it
it.
looks like a skunk is on my face.
Now, Danny, you
Yeah.
seemed yesterday like you were getting kind of happy with how it was coming in.
I
though.
am.
So you want to, but I like it though. You're willing to sacrifice all that work for the charity. That's the important part.
Yeah, this has been probably a 2.5, 3 week endeavor, and what an endeavor it is. What an endeavor. Man, what an endeavor. But yeah, I'm willing to shave it if you're going to write a check for charity. Absolutely.
I love that.
Here's a great one for you. Hey, Uncle Danny. Sorry. Hey, everybody here.
Yes.
What's the best way to get my children into golf? Considering Brooke and I don't have kids, I think they might be talking to 1/3 of us specifically.
Well, I think you could ask Brooke because
That's true.
In no way am I comparing you to a child.
No.
You're a grown up. But when you initially start with golf, just get a club in their hands, let them swing, and then once they get going a little bit with it, if they enjoy it, that's the number one thing. Make sure they enjoy it. Then go ahead and start setting up some lessons.
You can go over to Family Golf and Learning Center. We've talked about Adam Betts and everything that he does. He's been fantastic, and they're so friendly over there, too. Because, Dan, I was very intimidated when I started out golfing.
And a lot of people are.
I was very intimidated, and I've played sports my whole life. I consider myself an athletic person, but I knew that this would be a great challenge, and it is still a great challenge. It has been one of the most humbling experiences I think I've ever been through, but the reward is eventually I'll be able to go out and play with some of my friends, because I do have some girlfriends that play, and our goal is to be able to travel and go to all the different amazing golf courses, which I know you've seen a ton.
It's been fun. I've loved golf over the years. I've gotten more into it probably the last 5 years. It's tough with kids, but my kids play, so I'm able to go out and play with them. And I grew up working at Tower T in South St. Louis, the Afton area, and so I used to pick balls in the middle of the night. So I'd pick up golf balls in the middle of the night, and then I was the head groundskeeper at during the summers at Tower T. So when I wanted to hide and get away from people, I'd go on the side, which there's a little building there, and there's golf balls all over the place, and I'd have to hit them back. I'm supposed to not do this, but I'd hit them back into the range, and that was how I got better, because I just kept playing. And then at night, we would have old pros that would hang out. They'd come up just to talk, and the old pros would give me lessons at night. So that's how I learned how to play golf.
So going back to the question, do you think with your children, they saw you golfing and that's what made them interested? Or how did that come about?
So I played college baseball, and I wanted my boys to play baseball and my girls to play softball, and our age difference between our kids, 4 and 3.5 years. And my wife said, I'm done driving to, and my wife's a very good player. She's former state champ. She's into it, very good player now. And she said, I'm done running all over the place to softball and baseball fields. So we're going to put a club in their hands, and I'll be able to teach them. And that's how they started to play.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. We do have to get to the break, but I want to get back to this because we did miss some texts here. Don't you, Dan?
Yeah, but you need to let's go, man. You need to chime in on this.
Travis Feeney coming up here,
okay.
and that's the only thing. So that's the only reason why we have to jump around. That's bad on my part, or managing the clock on this one. But I promise you guys that we will get back to this because, as I mentioned, you see, I told you guys, Dan is a wealth of knowledge, and we have to get back to this a little bit later on in the show. But coming up next, we're going to hit the celebrity line to talk to Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney. Excuse me.
You want me to take us to break?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Travis, he led the team in sacks and tackles for a loss last year and forced fumbles. Brooke will regain, stop coughing, get a little coffee in her, make sure she's okay, and we'll visit with the Battlehawks coming up.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Billikens are rolling on in the A-10 tournament after a 74-71 win over Rhode Island in their first round. They play Duquesne tonight at 7:30 in round 2. Cardinals also back in action tonight, 12:05 first pitch against the Twins after an 8-6 win over the Red Sox yesterday. And your St. Louis Blues back at Enterprise for a long homestand. They start that off against the LA Kings. Puck drop at 6:30 tonight. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 5:30. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find a roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Brooke, Dan, and Rockio here. The Battlehawks kicking off their season on the road in Michigan against the Panthers. That is going to be coming up on March 30th. And then their home opener will be Saturday, April 6th against the Renegades. Tickets are available at UFL.com. And now we're going to go to the celebrity line to talk to Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney. Travis, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
We are so excited to have you on. Now, let's just start here first. I know that you were with the Battlehawks last season. Now this year, you have the merger of the XFL and you have the USFL coming together, creating the UFL. What changes have you seen and hope to see coming out of this going into the season?
Oh man, just a lot more competition. Now you got both string leagues, so you can just say you're the best of the best. And there's no more like argument of, oh, which league's better, which league's on this. Now it's just like, okay, well, now we get to just really prove it.
I want to ask you this. You were drafted by the Steelers, 6th round, the 2016 NFL draft. However, not the first time you were drafted. The Oakland A's selected you out of high school to play baseball. So why did you choose football over baseball?
Well, I would like to say I had a choice, but Mama knows best. And Mama said, no, I am going to play base. I'm going to play football. I told my mom first day I was drafted by the A's, I said, yeah, I'm going to play baseball. I'm a grown man. And, yeah, I realized that quickly I was not a grown man still.
So I want to go back to Mama. So, Travis, you were featured on some of the Battlehawks billboards last season, and that was something special for your mom, was it not?
Oh man, she loved it. She came down to the game and saw him, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, my baby's on the billboard! Oh my gosh,
that is so special. We were talking to Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney. Now, Travis, going back to being drafted by the Steelers, I came across a interesting story that when you were drafted by the Steelers, you got a call from Mike Tomlin, and at first you didn't think that it was real. If you don't mind sharing that story, can you?
Yeah, man. Mike T called me, and at that time during the draft, I was already mad. I was done with it. I was supposed to have a draft party. I told my mom to cancel the draft party, and I was done. I was in the bathroom, and I was chilling, just mad, and got a call, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're the Steelers. It's Mike Tomlin. We're going to draft you." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, my friends have been calling me, messing with me. So I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Stay on the phone until they draft me, then. So, okay, I'll stay on the phone. Stays on the phone, I'm like, oh, snap. What a great first impression. My head coach had said that he's lying and it's not real. And then they draft me, and I'm like, thanks, coach.
That had to be pretty nerve-wracking. And then what was it like playing for Coach T?
Oh, man, Coach T was great. He was great. He was great play for a real players coach. Passionate, super smart, knows the game. I mean, overall, it was a good experience there. I just enjoyed it.
So one of the things, too, that stands out, you have a St. Louis connection to an extent because you played for head coach Mike Martz here in St. Louis. The GM was the GM of the Battlehawks, and your tight ends coach is your head coach. So you've got kind of a St. Louis connection going on right here.
Right. Yeah, man, we all been together since 2019.
Wow.
We reconnected last year, yeah. It went great. I like to think. I think it went good.
How is everything going with you guys right now? Yeah, I mean, there is some pieces from last season from the Battlehawks, but now you guys are working together, practicing together. What is the feeling right now going into the season?
Man, I think the ceiling it's crazy. I just think there's just no max to our ceiling. I mean, I think we have the potential. We have the potential to win it all. And they have potential to be you have the potential to be undefeated every season you go in. And I just think that we can do that. We can win it all. It's just a matter of as long as we do everything right, as long as we do what we're supposed to do. You're always going to have little nooks and crannies that come through injuries and all that kind of stuff. But as long as we do what we're supposed to do, we each do our assignments and everything, you guys are going to see something special.
Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney is our guest. Have you told some of your other teammates what's it like to play in St. Louis with the crowds that you'll get here? And they're much bigger here than they are other places in the league.
Oh, man. I'm telling guys, man. I'm like, you guys don't understand. This is like being in a real stadium. This is your real ball. If you've been in these spring leagues before and you've played in stadiums where there's 10,000 guys or 8,000 people, no, you're not getting that. You're getting your full NFL experience of everybody's in there, and you're going to interact with the fans, and they truly love us, and we love them back. I always try to make sure the whole year that I signed as much stuff as I could, jump in the stands, should even drink beer with the fans. I'm that guy. I want to tell the guys give everybody an experience that they've never had too. I mean, at the end of the day, we're also entertainment for you guys and for everybody else. We have to give something that haven't been given in other leagues too. As a kid, I wish I had more interaction with players and stuff when I was a fan. So I just try to do that back now.
Does it feel like you do have that ability to have more interaction with the fan because of the UFL? And I know it was XFL last season. It seems like there is more access to the fans.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why I truly love that there was just so much interaction with the fans. I just love interacting. I got my own Feeney group that we're trying to blow up, the Feeney fan group. And then it's just interacting with them either through DMs or messaging them. It's just a lot closer, and it's not as much pressure as being closer. Not as NFL, you kind of get some mean DMs.
I can see that. Now, a little birdie also told me that your nickname is T-Rev. And have you had a T-Rev yet here in St. Louis? I'm sure being here last year, you know that is a staple here in St. Louis. Have you had a T-Rev yet?
Yes, I have. My guy Sully said I got to get one. I got to get one down the way. I think he said down the hill.
Yeah.
I got to get one. I got to get a real one made. But I had one. They're good. I need to get the truly authentic.
The real experience. Yeah, we're gonna have to get that for you.
The real experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, we gotta have to set it up.
We'll make it happen for you, Travis. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you play this season.
Oh yeah, get ready, Battlehawks. It's gonna be. We gonna have two. Now we got pizza coming too, so. Those edges are going to be fire.
Awesome.
There you go. Thank you so much, Travis. That is UFL Battlehawks linebacker Travis Feeney. And as we were just talking about the home opener, so you will be able to see Travis and the Battlehawks for the home opener against the Renegades April 6th. Tickets are available at UFL.com. And also, Danny Mac, coming up tomorrow is 314 Day. So you can go over to Ballpark Village if you don't have any plans. This is a free event where there will be a town hall with Battlehawks head coach Anthony Becht and also the Battlehawks brass. And also, Dan, I'm going to be out there moderating the event. So I am a huge Battlehawks fan. I'm super excited. I'm preparing even more because you were quizzing me yesterday. So I'm going to be prepared in case you show up in the crowd. But the event is free to attend and will feature fan favorite activities, ticket giveaways, exclusive merchandise, live music, and more. Plus, the Fast Lane will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6, courtesy of Sumner One. Get all the details now at 101ESPN.com. Coming up next, we have Take It or Leave It. Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Roccio here, and it's now time for Take It or Leave It. So get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO to get your text in for Take It or Leave It. Dan, what is your Take It or Leave It? Kick us off.
All right. ESPN came out with their top 100 baseball players going into the season, and at number 9 was Shohei Ohtani. Take it or leave it, he should be number 1.
Ooh, I am going to take. Who's number 1?
Ronald Acuna.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with him.
No. Is that because he's not able to pitch?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he's not the two-way player. By the way, his OPS is over 1,000 this spring. Like, apparently he's just killing the ball. But yeah, I think that would be if he was healthy. It's a good point, Brooke, that if he was pitching, then you'd probably see him number 1, undoubtedly.
I still think he should be number 1, anyways.
I do too. I think he's the most intriguing player on the planet. He's so much fun to watch. He is. Randomly married, has a dog named Decoy. A lot of stuff going on there. Boy, you've done a deep dive on Shohei Ohtani. I do. I'm a big Shohei Ohtani fan. So take it or leave it, guys. Aaron Rodgers is reportedly interested in being the vice president. Take it or leave it. He is going to leave football behind to run with Robert Kennedy. Is it Robert Kennedy Jr.? Jr. I believe so. Just didn't want to misspeak. So yes. Yeah, he's come out, Robert Kennedy Jr., and said he wanted potentially Aaron Rodgers as a possible VP as he runs as an independent. I'm going to leave that will not happen. I love it that Aaron Rodgers, it was about a month ago, said, I don't want to be a distraction. He had the stuff on COVID. Yeah. I'm not going to do that again. I just want to play football, and I will not be a distraction. So now his name has come up, and it's probably a distraction inside the building for the Jets. What do you think? Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall when the Jets keep hearing all these different stories that come out? And you know what? Believe what you want to believe on different things like that. Aaron Rodgers has always been a very outspoken person. It's just interesting to see that he constantly is in the limelight, or I guess in the spotlight in that way, for different things that are outside of football currently. But then again, he is on the mend. So I look at it, I don't mind players going out and having their viewpoints on certain things socially, but if I was running an organization, I would wish that he would can you just be quiet a little bit? Just a little bit? Can we just deal with football right now? But I understand that's where our society is at this point, and I understand it quite well. Yes, exactly. What do you have on the text line? Take it or leave it. City will lose an impact player to Europe after this season. It happened last season. I think it's probably fair to guess that it's going to happen. I was going to say that, I mean, it happened last year with Joe Keeney. I think it makes sense that I think it's probably safe to assume that you're probably going to lose one almost every season. I'm going to take that. You're playing well. By the way, my beard is itching. Uh-oh. Now you see the problem with having a beard. Charity's about to cash in earlier than it expected. Take it or leave it. Danny secretly loves Yoho. Take it. Take it. Take it. Take it. I can't answer that because it's more of a question that's directed to you two, and I'll just leave my personal thoughts on the 9646 to myself. There you go. I'm going to do a big old take it on that one. I'm with you on that one, bro. Take it or leave it. This person sent this in a couple weeks in a row. I'm gonna finally read it because let's get an opinion on it. Take it or leave it. Maple frosted donut is the best donut. And arguably the best donut's the best breakfast food, so you could say it's the best breakfast food. I'm going to leave that. Give me a Boston cream. Oh, okay. Pretty good. Ooh, Boston cream is really good. Wait, repeat the donut again that you said it was? Where'd it go? Maple? Where'd it go? Maple frosted. Maple frosted. I've never had one before. Well, that's the thing is I've never had one before. Maple frosted donut is the best donut. I mean, I am very willing to take a maple frosted donut to see if it is in fact the best donut. Yes, because I'd love to check it out. Yeah, I know. My opinion can change very quickly on it, so I'm open to any maple frosted donuts. Right now, I like just really any donut. Yeah, I don't know if I have a preference. I like your standard donut, just something easy. I like chocolate donuts. I like chocolate donuts with sprinkles. Whatever you want to give me. I like all donuts. I love all donuts. I love. You give me a donut, just bring it in. Gooey butter cake is awesome. Everything that is bad for you. I haven't had that kind of donut. Oh, I'm just saying gooey butter cake in just general. Because you can have that at breakfast too. At least you can have it at lunch and you can have it at dinner and then you can have it late at night. It's good stuff. It's really good.
It's really good.
Hey, Mac, where did you grow up? Wow. What an opinion. I wonder.
Yeah.
Was there? There was a bakery on Hampton growing up, man, and you could get a gooey butter cake, like a legitimately good sized gooey butter cake, that was 4 or 5 pieces big, for like 50 cents in the 90s. And there's a reason I was a fat kid.
I think you look great, Rocc. As I tell Randy, he looks great.
I got some pounds to lose.
By the way, not to interrupt you, but just real quick before we get another text in, gooey butter donut from Stranger Donuts in Maplewood. So this is a real possibility where we combine two things you like, Dan.
I love all of I don't think there's a donut I don't like.
Somebody said World's Fair Donuts, gooey butter donut made my eyes water.
Maple bacon donuts. I've never had a maple bacon donut.
No.
We're one step away from going full Frank Cusimano. I had to smoke a cigarette afterwards. Take it or leave it. Gray, Lynn, and Gibson will all be on the IL at the same time at some point this season. Leave that.
I'm going to leave that.
Yeah. You're knocking on wood.
Not at the same time?
That's what he says.
Oh, no, not at the same time. Could I see various times? Unfortunately for Cardinal fans, yeah, I could see that happening.
Take it or leave it. Tinks Hence is closing games in September.
In September?
I'm going to leave that. I think Ryan Helsley will be here, and then you could look at other guys that have closing experience. So I don't think they want to put that on a rookie. Now, it has happened before with Adam Wainwright, but I think they try to keep the pressure off him as much as they can and slowly work him into Major League Baseball.
Is this also another situation where maybe they're thinking like the season's not going to go well, and so then you bring up some of your younger guys to see what they have?
Now, that's a point I was thinking about, is that some of these guys are traded if the season doesn't go well, and you bring them up, and maybe there's a save opportunity, and good old, Tink Hence gets a shot to close some games out. See what you got.
By the way, I just want to throw this into the donut debate because I didn't earlier. Chocolate Long Johns are the best donut.
Ooh,
and anyone,
pretty good.
And I don't know how anyone says differently. I mean, come on,
What about vanilla Long Johns?
Those.
Yes.
I don't know. Really?
Yes.
They're pretty good.
Over a chocolate Long John?
Did you hear when we said we like all donuts? We really are. I don't know if there's anything that you could say that we will turn down at this point.
No, any donut, bring it on in.
You have one more?
Take it or leave it. The Cardinals will have to choose between Sajaci and Wynn as a future of the Cardinals middle infield.
I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave that.
Looks like Sajaci can really hit, but Mason Wynn can really play defense, and they're hoping that he can hit at some point. And I would say that Mason Wynn is the shortstop of the future.
And then where could you see, though, Thomas Sajaci fitting in?
Somewhere in the infield. Yeah.
He's played all of those positions.
I believe so. So if Arenado is traded or doesn't finish in St. Louis, then Sajaci could find a spot. But you have Brendan Donovan at second base, and I don't think you'd want to put him at first base. So maybe he's a backup and a guy that they can try to get a lot of time at various positions.
Admittedly, I'm stealing this a little bit from BK because we were talking about it in the back office a couple days ago. With the questions around Sajaci's arm, would you ever think about putting him in left field?
Yeah, I mean, if it's kind of like the Brendan Donovan dilemma that they have right now, is that I could see them saying, I remember they did this with Pujols, and he had an arm issue very early in his career, but they put him in left field. People forget he actually played left field at one point, and they would tell the shortstop, just go out on routine plays, or if there's going to be even a tough throw to third or a play at the plate, and use the shortstop as a cutoff, and just to make sure he didn't overextend and blow out his arm. So, yeah, I could see that maybe happening too.
I have one last one just to put in for myself. Take it or leave it. We should do a donut March Madness bracket.
Well, we love all donuts, so they all be a number one seed in advance for me.
But Dan, then it forces us to really break this down of what is the top tier donut.
Okay, whatever you guys want. I'm just along for the ride.
I'm good with it.
Well, then, thanks, Rocc. That was Take It or Leave It. Coming up next, we are going to go back to our discussion about Victor Scott II. Should he be a part of the opening day roster? We're going to discuss that next, coming up here on 101 ESPN.
Take.
Victor Scott is arguably the most electric player that they have. I mean, the guy sold 94 bags last year. He's a threat as soon as he gets out there, and he plays the game. Like, he's out there on first base. He's dancing around. He's in the mind of every pitcher out there. I love it. I love what he brings. Give me that guy, Victor Scott, in center field that can go get it. You're opening up in an L.A., big outfield. You're going to San Diego afterwards, big outfield. I really think that he can help you.
That's Cardinals analyst Brad Thompson yesterday talking about the very exciting Victor Scott II, who is vying possibly for one of the outfield openings right now currently, because as we have talked about all week, Lars Nootbaar is currently sidelined with injury. You have Tommy Edman still dealing with his wrist surgery and on the mend from that. So Victor Scott II is really knocking on the door, possibly putting a little bit of pressure on the Cardinals. Now, Dan, you've made this point, and it is a very, very fair point that he hasn't played in AAA yet. Is that something that you think the Cardinals look at as well when they are evaluating if he's ready for the opening day roster or
Sure.
not?
I think they look at seasoning and where he's at. 163 minor league games. Only 66 have come at AA. As Brad mentioned, he had 94 steals last year. Take it even further, his success rate was 87%. So nearly 9 out of 10, he's going to get on base. If you include the Arizona Fall League, he has 112 stolen bases for the year. Mm-hmm. So in spring training, he's 9 for his last 18. So he's hitting the ball. He's got a little bit more power than you think for a guy with that kind of speed. And there's like 4 things I look at with this if you decide to bring him up. Defense, he's a Gold Glover in the minor leagues. So obviously he's going to be very good defensively. He hits left-handed. That's something that's a positive and a check in the box of positive aspects of his game, a left-handed batter. 3 for me is that he puts on a ton of pressure on the defense. Mm-hmm. When he gets on base, he's going to make pitchers speed up. Catchers are like, uh-oh, here we go. That's just the way it works. When you have speed, you're going to put pressure on a defense. And number 4 is excitement for a fan base. The guy I get asked about more than anybody down in spring training at Florida is Victor Scott. And it's entertainment. We're in the entertainment business, and Victor Scott is entertainment personified, especially if he can get on base.
He adds a little bit of that flair. We talked about last season, Dan, just in here, that it felt like they had too many Boy Scouts. And look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is very much what the Cardinals way is to me in a lot of ways, where you just work hard and you play the game right, and also you hold yourself in a certain manner. And Victor Scott, he does that. He still works really hard, but also in the way that he has that flair. I'm not comparing him to Harrison Bader. I'm not saying he's Harrison Bader, but he kind of seems to have that same way that he carries himself, that energy, that pizzazz, if that's a good way to describe it, that Harrison has.
So that's the excitement that we're talking about. You know, a guy that makes you watch on the edge of your seat, and you can't wait to see him when he gets on base. I guess from the Cardinals' perspective, they're saying Alec Burleson is our left fielder if it ended today, Dylan Carlson in center, Jordan Walker in right, and then Michael Ciani would be coming off the bench. But this comes down to, you know, when the other guys get healthy, what do you do if you feel like Tommy Edman is not far away and can play in center? What do you do with Lars Nootbaar when he's in left? And, you know, do you feel
it's
like
another logjam? Yeah.
So do you keep Victor Scott down in the minor leagues just so he can play every day? Because if he comes up to the major leagues, he's not sitting. He's going to play.
No. And it seems like as of right now at this moment that Tommy Edman definitely isn't going to be ready for opening day, but I'm sure he won't be too far behind as he looks to recover. And so it does create another logjam. Maybe it's just me, and I get that contracts play. And by the way, you just signed Tommy Edman to an extension, so that's something else that you have to factor into this when you're talking about that. I just like to ride the hot hand. I think that you should have whoever out there that one is obviously winning the job. And right now, to me, Victor Scott's doing that. He's hitting .370 with a .469 on-base percentage, slugging .444, 9 for 18 in 6 games here in March. He is a guy that I just want to see at this level. Also, I mentioned earlier, he stole his 4th base of the spring just yesterday. His speed, too, to me, I would like to see that in center field, possibly even more so than Dylan Carlson, because it seems like he has the ability to really cover more ground with his speed.
To your point, defense, outfield defense was not good last year. Well, generally speaking, the defense wasn't very good last year. So outfield defense took a hit. Tommy Edman was actually very good. He was a plus defender in center. Carlson, he was okay. Do you want Alec Burleson in left field? Jordan Walker, by all accounts, has gotten better in the outfield in right. And to Brad's point, it's short-lived, but when you take on National League West teams, in those ballparks, they're very spacious. San Diego, very spacious. Dodger Stadium, very spacious. You look at Colorado, very spacious. But we're talking about the initial beginning of Dodger Stadium and San Diego. He certainly would help you out in that regard, too.
So when you're talking about things defensively, here's another thing that kind of concerns me. And Alec Burleson, I know that he has made some progress. Also, I like his bat a lot. We've talked about that. But we know that he has struggled defensively, so much so that the Cardinals even had a discussion with him during this past offseason that, hey, we like your bat, but we need to work on some things defensively. So he lost some weight. He put in some work. I know he had a great dive and catch yesterday, but Jordan Walker is also still coming along as a defender. That concerns you if you have both of those guys out there, one in left and one in right, doesn't it?
And Brendan Donovan maybe playing left field too. There's a chance that he could get some time. Here's the deal. If you're hitting, your bat will play, especially with injuries. Edman and Noop are out, so he would have a chance to play in left field, potentially, Brendan Donovan, if you're trying to get somebody else in. And so it's right now, for me, Burleson, Carlson, Walker, Ciani coming off the bench, but that all could change. And John Denton was with you guys on Monday, and here's what he had to say.
But I think at some point this season, Victor Scott's going to come up. He's going to factor in on this team. I mean, this kid's 23, but you would think he's 35. He's so mature. He's so comfortable in his own skin. He just oozes confidence. And it's something to see the way he's messing with pitchers. When he gets on base, like he has them, he's totally in their heads. I think he's stolen 4 bases, and 3 of them were without even a throw. He had a stand-up triple. I don't think they want him to make the opening day roster, but I do think we will see him before the temperatures hit 100 in St. Louis, come August.
I think that would be the ideal situation for them, to say that he doesn't start the season with the Cardinals. But here's the thing. If they get off to a bad start and outfielders aren't producing and you need a spark, bring him up and let him play every day and see what you got.
He has the ability to do that, and he has been knocking on the door, and I like that he's putting the pressure on the Cardinals, even if it doesn't work out in that way where we see him make the opening day roster. As much as I would love to see that happen, I understand that he hasn't played in AAA. We mentioned earlier there are a lot of players who are currently in Major League Baseball who have skipped AAA, including Paul Goldschmidt, so that's something that worked out, not comparing him to Paul Goldschmidt, but I think it worked out pretty well for Goldie, wouldn't you say so?
Oh, yeah, he's MVP and maybe a future Hall of Famer. We haven't heard about Goldschmidt, by the way, with his extension, which kind of surprises me if he's going to get that in spring training. Normally, with Mo, he looks at a couple of players and decides during spring training to kind of lock them up. I know Ryan Helsley has talked about staying if he could with an extension, but going back to what John Denton was saying, just pressure on a defense. And, he got a couple of stolen bases without even having throws. I mean, this guy is exciting, and I've said it a bunch here this morning. I just can't wait to watch him play.
I can't either, and I like watching him play during the spring. Now, switching gears a little bit, because there is currently a little bit of a battle for the current number 5 spot in the starting rotation. We saw Matthew Liberatore yesterday. We're going to see Zach Thompson today. It seems like both, of course, will make the team, make the roster here. But what is the right roles for both of those guys? Because you have one that will likely be in the starting rotation, the other one in the pen for long relief situations.
What do you think?
I think that it's going to be Matthew Liberatore, honestly, in long relief. That's my personal opinion. And maybe it's just because what I want. Now, Matthew Liberatore yesterday, 71 pitch day for him. It was okay, but Ollie Marmol said that he was more looking for certain things. Like, I know that he hit 97, and that was something encouraging. And he gave up, I believe it was it 2 run homers? Yeah. So 4 of which, so he gave up 5 earned runs, 4 of which came on a pair of 2-run homers yesterday while fanning 5. So they felt encouraged by it. But to me, I think he's just a better fit in the pen.
I'm with you. I love Liberatore in the pen because of he can hit 97 miles an hour. So if you come in for one inning and you know you're going to air it out, you could have more fastball velocity, which would help him. And also, I think he's got to be more aggressive inside the strike zone. His stuff is good enough to play. He has to believe it's good enough to play. And Zach Thompson, if they have injuries, which it looks like they will, potentially coming out of the gate here, Zach Thompson would make my start or two if you're still waiting for Sonny Gray.
I agree with you. I think that it just makes a lot of sense in those situations. I think for Matthew Liberatore, he was on my list of guys that really had to prove themselves during spring training, and not that he hasn't, but it seems like they're just looking for more consistency from Liberatore.
So we're going to get in studio broadcaster Bengie Molina. They have a program coming up, and we can put him on the spot. What do you think, Bengie? You go ahead and tell us. Let's
tell
go.
us who's going to be in the rotation, who's going to be in the pen, who's going to be the center fielder, and oh, by the way, I think that he might know somebody that we all would like to see here soon in spring training.
Yes, his brother.
Yeah. We might all know him. Yadier Molina. Well, that's Stan. I'm Brooke. Coming up next, we're going to head to the celebrity line to talk to Blues analyst and 101 host of the Fast Lane, Jamie Rivers. That's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird Report. A big day for two Cardinals vying for the new outfield openings. Yesterday against the Red Sox, Alec Burleson with his first home run of the spring, and Victor Scott II going 3 for 3 from the leadoff spot, scoring 2 runs and stole his 4th base of the season in the Cardinals' 8-6 victory. In the battle for the number 5 spot currently in the Cardinals starting rotation, Matthew Liberatore pitching 4 frames, giving up 5 earned runs, 4 of which came on a pair of 2-run homers, while fanning 5. Matthew Liberatore and Card skipper Ollie Marmol were reportedly overall pleased with his 71-pitch day. Your Redbirds are back in action today against the Twins' first pitch at 12:05 with Zach Thompson on the mound.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, Danny Mac on this Wednesday for Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home, refi, maybe looking to consolidate some of your ugly credit card debt, thanks Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and he joins us this morning. And Stewie, what about the power of pre-approval as well?
Danny, this is very important. You're going into the buying season. It's going to be competitive. We recently had an ESPN listener that went ahead and went with the realtor's lender. They got a pre-approval letter for $400,000. Well, over the weekend, they wanted to offer $405,000. The loan officer was nowhere to be seen. They couldn't get the updated pre-approval letter. With our system, you can go ahead and generate a pre-approval letter for any amount up to the amount you're approved. It's not a problem. You don't have to chase us down. You can get it instantly. We give that power to you and the real estate agent. Bam, you get your contract offer accepted before anybody else can blink an eye.
I love it. Now, you also have the bagel loan. You can call Stewie at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. That is his personal cell phone, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Welcome back to the opening drive. We're Dan and Rocc here, and we're going to head to the celebrity line to talk to Blues analyst and also co-host of the Fast Lane coming up here later today, Jamie Rivers. Jamie, how are you doing today?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing really good. First off, we're going to start with the road trip for the Blues. At least they were able to come away with a win there at the end, and a very convincing victory against the Bruins. What was your overall takeaway, though, from that Blues road trip?
Well, I think, they started off with that shootout win against Philly, and you thought that, okay, that's a pretty big win. That's a hungry team in Philadelphia. They're scrapping for their playoff lives as well. And so you chalk that up to a good victory, and then the games in the middle, man, that just seemed like they were frustrated. There were a lot of things that weren't working their way. The Islander game was you're up by a couple of goals, and you give the game back to the opposition. That's certainly not optimal. In the New Jersey game, it just felt like they never really got their legs under them. The Rangers, well, too many penalties, and that's a really high-powered team, and they made you pay for it. So following the Ranger game, it felt like there was just a lot of frustration amongst the group because you do have guys that want to win. You have a group of guys that have pride, and when things aren't going the right way, it's weird how it can affect you. It just makes you so angry, and it's not good for the group to be that way, and it's not healthy for the culture of the team. And so for them to bounce back with a huge victory against the Bruins, of course they needed those 2 points in the standings because mathematically things are still intact to where they could make a playoff push. But more so than that, I think for the morale of the group, it was a huge win to try and get everybody back on track and a little more of a feel-good attitude around the locker room.
And in that game, Jamie, probably the best game for the third line. What did you see from that group?
Well, this is something that we talked about it yesterday on the Fast Lane. Is like the depth scoring, the secondary scoring rather for the Blues just hasn't been there consistently all season long, and I think that's been the biggest difference maker for them. Is they're not getting a consistent goal a game by the second, third, or fourth line, or even the defense. Based on the points the way they are, statistics with the individuals, your first line's getting you a goal a game. Your power play recently is getting you close to a goal a game. Had a little bit of a dry spell there for a little bit, but then after that, it was like nothing. And so when you see the guys like Hayes, Saad, Kapanen able to chip in offensively the other night, it's a huge difference maker for this team. When they get scoring from other people not named Robert Thomas or Buchnevich or Kyrou, that's a big boost for this group. And I think, to me, it was great to see that. They played very well. Seemed like they had very good chemistry. Obviously, the line scored 3 goals, so that's a massive positive. But I think that's the difference right there. If you can continue to get some secondary scoring from your second, third, or fourth line, and Robert Thomas, that line just continues to keep going the way they are, you have a chance to win more hockey games. For me, that's been the story of the season.
We're talking to Jamie Rivers about the Blues currently right now, and it's interesting because you brought up the lines, and obviously it worked out for the Blues in that game, but it seems like Bannister was trying to find some sort of combination to help the Blues with something they've been struggling with all season, which is scoring 5-on-5. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the way this team is built, as far as the roster construction and whatnot, you have a tale of 2 stories for me. You have some guys that can score off the rush, and you have guys that aren't rush players. And it's not hard to figure that out. You have guys that are speedy and super talented. Those guys would be considered rush guys. Then you have other guys that are maybe a little bigger and maybe not quite so speedy. They should be playing a more of a cycle game in the offensive zone. And I think that's the biggest difference is teams that win championships in the NHL, if you go back, look at any team, they possess the puck in the offensive zone for extended periods of time. Go back to 2019, our Blues team. Some really good players, but nobody's super dynamic on that team. But they got the puck in the offensive zone. They possessed it. They cycled the puck, they wore down the opposition, and they created offense that way. And they did it at 5-on-5. And right now, this year, there's been pockets of that, but for the most part, there's still a lot of chances off the rush. But the problem with that is you take your shot off the rush. If you don't retrieve the puck, you're one and done right away. And so when you're a rush team and you come into the offensive zone and make your play, if it's not successful, you're defending right away because the other team has the puck. Whereas if you're a team that plays more of a cycle game, you get in the offensive zone, and now you have the puck for longer periods of time. And again, that wears down the opposition and creates a lot more opportunities as the game continues to move on. So for me, I think the 5-on-5, the lack of offense is that they too much off the rush still. This team needs to develop more of a forecheck and get in and cycle the puck. And I think they'd have a little more success 5-on-5.
Jamie, the trade deadline came and went. The Blues stood pat. Any surprises there, whether it be league-wide or the Blues and what they did?
As far as the Blues are concerned, I wasn't surprised. I just wasn't. I said this going up to the deadline was, like, what are you getting for some of your guys? Like, it's always, we'll trade the unrestricted free agents. Okay, fine. But, like, what are you getting? Does it help your team? Does a 6th-round pick really help your team now or ever, for that matter? Like, who knows? I mean, there's first-round picks that don't pan out. So, the thought of that was, for me, was just keep this team together. And as far as Pavel Buchnevich is considered, I think Pavel Buchnevich should be talking about contract extension with the Blues. I don't think it's a done deal that he's traded in the offseason. I think that this is a guy that Doug Armstrong would like to build around. Look at Buch. I mean, he gives you a solid effort every night. He competes. He plays 200-foot game. He plays in every single situation for you. I mean, you don't just want to get rid of those guys to pick up draft picks or a young player because, Dan, as you know, the draft pick a young player, who knows what they become? They could become a Hall of Famer, but they could also fizzle out after a year. And you've traded away now a guy who's an established NHL player for someone that doesn't quite pan out or for a gamble. I don't know. That wouldn't be my thought process.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
Yeah, with Pavel Buchnevich, and of course this will be just a complete guess on your part. And what do you think, though, contract-wise, would work best for him and the Blues?
Well, for him, I think he wants $8 million plus. I mean, he'll get it somewhere. That's the thing. In today's market, there's a couple things that I've figured out is if players want a high dollar amount, they'll find it. But that may not be with a good team. And these players have to figure out then what's most important for them. Is it the extra money that they're going to make per year, in which they have every right to make as much money as they want, and if they can get it, trust me, I'm all for it. But if they do, it's harder for the good teams to have winning organizations at that point because you get too top heavy with few contracts and you can't compete for a cup or even for your division or anything like that. So I think Pavel Buchnevich is going to have to really think about what he wants in the future and how happy he is here in St. Louis. Because I think if he could be somewhere in the $7 million, $6.57 million for 4 years, I think Doug would do that here. I think anything more than 4 years, anything more than 6.5 or $7 million, I think the Blues would have no choice but to move on.
I always find it interesting when you have a lack of depth in scoring, then your defense better be pretty good or your goaltending. And the goaltending, man, has been awesome with Hofer and Bennington. God knows, Jamie, where they'd be without that tandem.
Yeah, they've been unbelievable. I stand firm on the fact that, Jordan Bennington, even though the numbers don't bear it out, he still had a pretty good season last year and at times was single-handedly winning games for the Blues. But this year, what I love about it is he's got a partner in Joel Hofer. So the pressure isn't all on Jordan Bennington. Jordan Bennington doesn't feel like he has to win, every single game when he's in there. He just has to play his game. And I would argue that the Blues right now, it'd be tough to find a better tandem in the NHL. I know the Bruins have a great tandem in Ullmark and Swayman. But honestly, I'd put Bennington and Hofer up against those guys in a playoff series. I have all the confidence in the world that the Blues have really good goaltending right now and for the foreseeable future. You've got Bennington for another couple of years, and you got Hofer, who's still a young guy.
So as far as that position goes, that's locked down now for a little bit.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Jamie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet.
All right. That is Blues analyst Jamie Rivers. He's also co-host of The Fast Lane. The Blues facing the LA Kings tonight at 6:30 p.m. You can catch the pregame here at 5:30. Coming up next, we have the fight. I guess I'm going to fight again today, Dan, unless you feel like stepping up to the plate.
Fire
Is today
away.
your day?
You go.
Okay. All right.
You're doing. You haven't lost, have you?
The Grim Reaper, eventually, I have a feeling, probably will lose. This has been a very lucky streak so far, and brought to you courtesy of my Belvita crunchy bars that I eat every single morning. Not the same as Randy's grapes, but I'm trying my best, Dan.
There you go.
If you want to fight me, text into the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho. The fight coming up next.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night was a big win for the Billikens in the A-10 tournament, 74-71 over Rhodey, their second win over Rhode Island in 10 days, and they're going to have a second shot in the A-10 tournament, this time against Duquesne tonight at 7:30 p.m. Cardinals back in action today, 12:05 first pitch. They had an 8-6 win over the Red Sox yesterday. They'll face off against the Twins today, and your St. Louis Blues back in St. Louis as they take on the LA Kings tonight, starting a home stand. Puck drop is at 6:30. You can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues 101 ESPN starting at 5:30. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
As you know by now, Randy is on vacation, so Brooke will be the fighter today. It is 8:36 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. A reminder, in about 10 minutes or so, Bengie Molina will be our guest in studio. We say good morning to Steven. Hello, Steven. Welcome to the fight.
Good morning. How are you all doing?
We're doing well. How about you?
Can't complain.
Have you been in the fight before or the gauntlet?
Neither. First time.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, I'll start with number one, Rocc number two, so on and so forth, back and forth. And here we go. Question one, which NHL franchise owns the record for the most points in a regular season? Was it the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, or the New York Islanders?
Let's go with the Bruins.
Final answer?
Final answer.
On to question two.
Who is the only player in the 3,000 hit club with exactly 3,000 hits? Is that Wade Boggs, Roberto Clemente, or Al Kaline?
Let's go with Clemente. Final answer.
All right, question three. Trent Dilfer was the starting QB for the Ravens in Super Bowl 35, but which quarterback started their first 8 games of the season? Was it Randall Cunningham, Brad Johnson, or Tony Banks?
Tony Banks. Final answer.
All right, question four.
All right, who threw the last no-hitter the St. Louis Cardinals were involved in? Was that Cole Hamels, Johan Santana, or Mark Burley?
Johan Santana. Final answer.
All right, we'll go get Brooke Grimsley.
I'll go grab her.
Oh, go ahead and grab her.
I'll go grab
How
her
do you
outside.
feel you did today on the fight, Steven?
Not very good.
You don't think you did very good today?
No.
Interesting how our perceptions and reality sometimes don't always match up. Brooke Grimsley back in the room today. Brooke, you're 2-0 on the week, going for win number 3 here on Hump Day Wednesday. How you feeling? I need to turn your mic on. That's my fault.
Oh, well,
Sorry, how you
know,
feeling?
the mic. Now I'm feeling better that I can be heard.
There you go. Sorry.
But we'll see how this fight goes. Maybe I don't want to be heard. You can cut off my mic. It's totally fine.
My bad.
All right, away we go.
Who is
question
this?
one. This is
Going
Steven.
up against
Steven? Okay. Hi, Steven.
Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like you did really well? Should I be scared, intimidated?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
No.
Well, let's get started.
All right, question one. Which NHL franchise owns the record for the most points in a regular season?
Most points. Record for the most points in a regular season. That was last year, was it not, with the Bruins?
I can't give you the answers.
I'm sorry, I keep doing this to you, but I think it was last year with the Bruins. Just final
All the
answer. There you go.
table
I'm so
talking.
sorry.
Can't do. I don't even look at you. I can't give you any secrets.
Don't invite Brooke over for dominoes, spades, Risk.
Oh, you
Do
should
not
see
invite
me.
Brooke over.
Any board
Good
games
Lord.
where there's
Monopoly,
maybe a little bit of smack talk.
Catan. No table talking, Brooke. Brooke, who was the only player in the 3,000 hit club with exactly 3,000 hits?
With exactly 3,000. So exactly, because
Yep.
there's
not
quite a
not
few.
2,999, not 3,001. 3,000 on the nose.
There's definitely some are over because Wade Boggs, he's a part of that.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's a big club.
But there is one big one because 3,000 also was the end of a historic career for none other than Roberto Clemente.
Question 3, Trent Dilfer was the starting QB for the Ravens in Super Bowl 35. Which QB started the first 8 games of that season?
Ooh, I'm going to need options on this one.
Randall Cunningham, Brad Johnson, or Tony Banks?
You said what year was this again?
I did not give the year, but it was Super Bowl 35 when they won.
Okay.
I'll give you the question again. Trent Dilfer was the starting QB for the Ravens in Super Bowl 35, but which QB started the first 8 games of their season?
I'm going to say Tony Banks.
And
Final.
question 4.
Who threw the last no-hitter the Cardinals were involved in?
Oh, goodness gracious. This was a while ago. I need the options on this one.
Cole Hamels, Johan Santana, or Mark Burley?
I think it's either going to be Santana or Hamels. I'm going to go with, for some reason, Hamels feels right.
Cole Hamels, your final answer?
Yes.
All right, Rocc, what do we got today?
Wow. This was an absolutely close fight on the razor's edge. Steven not very confident in how he did. Brooks going for 3-0 to start the week. Who's the winner in today's fight? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Steven.
Congrats.
You hit the jack. You got all 4 correct, and you beat Brooke Grimsley, the Grim Reaper, I should say. 4-3, more like Tim Grouper today. 4-3 win today, Steven. Congratulations. Yeah, I misspoke.
Congratulations, Steven. Yeah, you should feel very confident after that, because at first I was like, okay, maybe he didn't do so well because he's...
And he was not confident.
Really?
He thought he did. He thought he did poorly, and he hit the jack.
They were, I guess good today.
There you go, Steven. Well, you will join us tomorrow as you go for win number 2 against Brooke Grimsley. Let's go through those questions and those answers. It was the Boston Bruins last season who set the new mark for the most points in the regular season for an NHL team. They passed the Montreal Canadiens. The only player in the 3,000 hit club with exactly 3,000 hits. No, it's not Bernie Mac from Mr. 3000. Roberto Clemente got right to that mark in his final game. Trent Dilfer, the starting quarterback for the Ravens in Super Bowl 35. That offense had a lot of struggles to start the season when they were quarterbacked by Tony Banks. Took him a while to get an offensive touchdown before Quadre Ismail got their first of the season. And the last no-hitter the Cardinals were involved in, tried to trick people there. Of course, none of those Cardinals pitchers. Cole Hamels threw a no-hitter against the Cubs. It was Johan Santana who blanked the Cardinals in a game with the Mets. So a 4-3 win for Steven in the fight today. Steven, we will talk to you tomorrow in the fight.
Sounds good.
I knew that Cole Hamels... Thank you, Steven, by the way. Great fight. I knew that Cole Hamels did. I just couldn't remember.
You got you on the Central Division. Sorry.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you
fault,
for the
Brooke. Yeah,
trickery.
it
I know how Randy feels.
Now you know how Randy feels. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Johan Santana, though, is like an asterisk because there was a ball that was hit up the third base line. I believe it was Carlos Beltran.
No one talks about that one. That's a good point.
And instant replay was not a part of the game at that point with balls that were going up the line, either line, the first or third base line, and that actually should have been a foul ball.
So do you think what we can do then is just give Johan Santana's to Armando Galarraga?
Yeah, we should. It'd be nice. Cardinals almost had a game. Cardinals almost had a no-hitter with Miles Michaelis.
Yeah,
yes, they did.
Yeah.
2 outs in the ninth and a ball that got over Harrison Bader's head. I think that was against the Pirates. Yeah, so they were close a couple times. You had Michael Waka's game that was close against Washington.
That's the only one I've been at that has ever gotten close was Michael Waka. And my favorite thing of that story is I was up in the press box, and it was Derek Gould's off day. And so Gould wasn't there the whole game. And then right around the 7th inning, I turned to my left, and Derek Gould's standing there just like playing close. And he's like, well, I mean, if it happens, I got to be here.
Yep.
That was my favorite part.
Somebody from the 618 saying, Brooke is having trouble grasping the concept of this game. Here's the thing. I do understand the concept. That doesn't stop me, though, from trying to wheel and deal my way into possibly somebody giving me some more clues on the answer.
I'm not doing that.
I used to be a reporter for a really, really long time. Dan, you know how it is with us reporters. We are really good at digging out information from people.
Just trying to find little things that may lead you to an answer.
Even a look sometimes can give it away.
I'm not looking at you.
I was looking directly at you.
Yeah. I'm trying to ban her from doing it, but I respect the fact that she's trying.
I'm highly competitive.
You're not trying.
It's not cheat. Okay, whoa. Not cheating. It's just I'm highly competitive.
No, I'm saying there's the quote. If you're not trying to find that little angle, and all you're trying to do is, are these idiots going to just like smile? Or are they going to smirk? I'm going to fool these clowns. And listen, if I was standing across from me, I'd be thinking, I can dupe this fool. I got this idiot. I'd be thinking it too. You're fine.
Yeah, it's something that I like to do. I'm just highly competitive. I can't help it, guys. Well, that was the fight. Coming up next, we are going to be bringing in Cardinals Spanish language broadcaster Bengie Molina. He will be in studio to talk all things Cardinals. We're, of course, going to talk about Victor Scott. We're going to talk about the starting rotation, the bullpen, whatever you want to talk about with Bengie Molina, including his brother Yadier Molina. That's coming up next here on The Opening Drive.
biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Welcome back to the opening drive. It is now time for our Rush Hour Reset. Just to recap, the Billikens moving on in the A-10 tournament. So congratulations to the Billikens men's basketball team. They were able to, let's do a little clap, to survive against Rhode Island. 74-71 the final score. They will face Duquesne tonight at 7:30 p.m. Also, the Blues are hosting the LA Kings tonight after their 5-game road trip, as we were talking about with Jamie Rivers earlier. The Blues were able to end the 5-game road trip on a high note. It was at least encouraging to see that. But Dan, with the way that the season has gone, I've just accepted the fact that the Blues are kind of middle of the pack, a 500 team at best, and you never know if you're going to get some consistency. I would love to see them go on a tear, but I don't really know what else to think about this group at this point.
Yeah, the math is really tough for the Blues. They got 17 games to play. Vegas was 77 points, 69 points for the Blues, so the numbers are very, very tough for them to get into the playoffs. So though they begin a 4-game homestand, we've seen them with stretches where they can make this thing interesting, and until they're officially eliminated, you keep playing the games out. Back to SLU for a moment. They shot 55% in the first half last night against Rhode Island, and it was the second time in 10 days those teams had hooked up, evenly matched, because Rhode Island, it came down to a 3 in the first game, came down to a 3 last night, and they missed. Gibson Jimerson with 26 points. Terrence Hargrove had 18, so you had a nice night from the guys that you're expecting to, and that's something that you want to see.
Yeah, and if you look at the last Rhodey game, we talked about it with Earl Austin. He mentioned you had to get 16 from 15 in 15 minutes from a Sincere Parker that you don't have. Gibby had a 30-point game against Rhodey in that game, and you had to win 94-91, I think it was. So a 20-point difference. So what was the difference there? Well, you still almost got 30 from Gibby, and the defense that you saw against the Bonnies that you haven't seen the entire season was there again against Rhode Island. You saw a 20-point difference in the game before. It was a very different Billikens team. They won by getting to the rim and actually converting consistently. It wasn't a huge 3-point raining game, which is kind of the way they've had to win some of their games this season.
Yeah, that is the way that it, for the Billikens, I know it's been a rough season for them. Oh, and then here comes in Bengie Molina right now. Sorry to go ahead. Hi, Bengie. How are you doing? We will be back with Bengie Molina coming up here right after the break. Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided that it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City. It's over 100 years old, and we absolutely love it, but we never exactly loved our main bathroom. So we decided it was time to make a big change to our home, and we weren't really sure where to start. So we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is E&B Granite. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with the vision of how to just really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with E&B Granite was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom cabinets, all of their countertop options as well. It was so much fun picking out the new colors for our brand new bathroom. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she's just been fantastic, really coming up with a lot of great ideas that fit within our budget. Their friendly and experienced staff has been just like Jen, turning visions into realities for over 20 years. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom today and tell them that I sent you.
You can join the Cardinals Spanish broadcasters Bengie Molina and Polo Asensio for Beisbol in the classroom. How that was all right, wasn't it?
That was great.
Thank you. At Busch Stadium on Wednesday, April 10th. That is before the Cardinals take on the Phillies. Cost is just $15. That includes entry to the pregame educational program. A ticket to the game on Wednesday, April 10th. Phillies will be in town. A voucher for a jumbo hot dog, bag of chips, and a soda. That's all at cardinals.com/theme. Bengie Molina in studio with us. Great to see you, sir.
Oh, no, good to see you guys. Thank you for having me in your show.
Well, let's start with the actual program. How did this come about, and what can a kid expect if they head to the program?
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like a true classroom. It's like me and Polo will be the teachers, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't be scared. Don't be scared. Send your kids over, and we'll take care of them. But it literally is like a classroom. We sit down there and talk baseball terms in Spanish and English, so they can learn some. We have a lot of questions about how you say this, how you say that. It's a very, very fun. Fred Burrow usually stop by. But for us, having a classroom full of kids and adults too, because that's their goal too. And they ask questions. How you say this thing in Spanish, the baseball terms, the bola, the bate, the strike, how you say all that stuff. So for me and Polo, I know we have fun.
I wonder, do you guys show them some of your, or let them listen to some of your broadcasting clips? Because that is another way for them to get even more interested in the Spanish language broadcast because of how exciting it is with you and Polo.
They always make us do like 2 or 3 calls. They always ask me to do a Yachty call. They always ask Polo and I to do a home run call in Spanish. So it makes it so much fun. And you can see their faces, like the eyes lit up looking at you like, what is he saying right now? But because we get so excited about it. But it's so cool to see these guys out there with us hanging out, because it's just a hangout, with them and for them. We give them, we have like a board, and we write things down, and you can see him in the little notebook writing the things down, and so it's pretty cool.
So that is Wednesday, April 10th against the Phillies. Let's talk a little baseball, and I'll start with your brother. How is Yachty, and when can we expect him in camp or here in St. Louis or whatever his role might be with the Cardinals?
I know he's helping, advisors, what they want to call him, but I think he's more than an advisor, man. I think his brain is way out there. So as soon as he gets to spring, which it could happen any day now, this is the time that he was supposed to be there in spring. So it's it's crazy. I think he's doing great. First of all, he's doing great. He wants to go out there, but when Yadi's on spring training or anywhere, it doesn't matter, in the season, his brain being picked up by these young guys and the way he talks about the game, and he was always ahead of everything. Even me that I played, when I went to his house, every time that we watched 5 TVs, different games, and he'll have something for each TV. So his brain works a little different than most. So it's pretty interesting to see the young guys taking advantage of that, the questions, and what he can teach them.
I know that we haven't heard from Yadi in a bit, but it seems like he's made it very clear that he sees himself one day being a manager, whether that's with the Cardinals looking down the line or with another team in Major League Baseball. Does he still have those aspirations, and is that what he's doing, is just working towards that?
I think so. I think Yadi, when they got eliminated his last year, 2 days later, he was managing in Venezuela. So that tells you he doesn't want to leave the field. Obviously he had to because of the playing time and stuff. But coaching, he managed Venezuela. He managed the Puerto Rico team in the Classic, and then he went to manage his whole year, his kids. His kid, 15 and under, and then he went to the Winter Bowl this past winter and won the league too. Not bad. And he went to the Caribbean World Series in Miami. So if you can see, I'm with you, Brooke. I think he's working his way. Like, hey, I put my dues, I pay my dues here. Give me a shot. I don't know if he wants to manage somewhere else. I don't want to say that. I think if he had a manager job, it would be around St. Louis.
Sure. Makes sense. You were down in spring training, right?
Yes.
Who stood out for you as you were watching some of the games, some of the workouts?
Many guys, many young guys. Of course, the normal guys are going to do their thing. They're getting ready. The veterans. They're still good. But, man, that Victor Scott, it's a name that keep popping up. Sagasi, I think he's Sagasi, the second baseman. He's killing it out there, showing that he can play. Another one that sticks out is Alec Burleson, which everybody thought he was going to be a bench player, but he might.
Injuries help that, as you well know. Injuries, sometimes you slide in, and all of a sudden you're an everyday player.
And he's earning it. He's playing in the outfield and left field, which is the spot that they have probably more open. So I think he's doing that. Gracefo, pitcher, Tink Hens, Drew Grum having a great spring. So the guys that you maybe think they're going to go to AAA, AA, are the ones that are really, really knocking on the door, man. I tell you, Kaepernick, I think is his name, last name, and he's doing great too. Cesar Piero, which is,
good player.
Infield, a great player, ball player. So there's so many guys, man, that I was there out there very, very, very impressed how they handled themselves on the field. It's pretty amazing. I think the Cardinals are pretty much covered in AAA, AA right now.
And just going back to Victor Scott, because we keep talking about him because he's such a young and exciting player. And now that you have these outfield opportunities open, we're discussing at length because, Bengie, we're sports talk radio, so we have a lot of time to fill here. So we're talking a lot about, can he possibly make the opening day roster? Do you see any situation where he could do that?
I think Nootbaar being hurt is probably the only way. I think he has a chance making it. I think he should. I think he really should because the way he's playing, it's time to see that. But having Nootbaar healthy, I think it's going to block him a little bit because they want him to play. They don't want him to sit down in a bench, pinch running once in a while. So I think they want him to go AAA. If nobody's healthy, I don't think he makes it. I think he goes down to AAA. If any of them get hurt in the outfield, I think that's the only chance that he has this year to start.
Right, to start the season.
Yeah, to start the season.
I think we'll see him at some point this year for sure.
Oh, yeah, and that tells you how incredible of a pressure Carson, Nootbaar, even Walker, he's a young guy, Burleson going out there into the outfield, That's a lot of pressure for those guys, too.
How concerned are you about the pitching staff, the starters in particular? Are you concerned with what you've seen at all, or do you think it's like veterans and they'll figure it out as the season goes along?
I've been thinking about that because I think it's unfair to say that those two guys, Lynch and Gibson, are in the back end and all that stuff. I think it's unfair. I think these guys are going to battle. I think these guys are going to go out there, give you 5, give you 6 innings, good innings. They might give up their runs, 3, but we have to hit 2 on top of that. So I don't think spring training is really tricky depending on what you talk to the pitching coach, because I've been there. Sometimes, okay, work on your cutter. Okay, work on your changeup. I don't care how many runs you gave up. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to make the team. Mm-hmm. They're actually working on something so they can get better for the season. And it happens a lot with the veterans. So the other day I saw Gibby gave up 4 runs. Lynch came back and gave up 4 runs, and that was in 3 innings or so. But I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried. Now, when they come here in the season and you see a pattern of 2 games or 3 games giving up 4 runs, I think that's when you need to worry about.
So Lance Lynn gets ejected twice in one game. That might be a record, and it was with Angel Hernandez. Now you're a catcher, okay? You know all about Angel. What was your relationship like with? You're laughing over there. What was it like with Angel Hernandez?
Oh man, it was weird because
okay.
He's a Cuban. He's Cuban, so we speak Spanish. We didn't speak English there. And we would speak Spanish at the beginning of my career. I thought it was okay. It was cool. He came to me. He said, "Where you from?" Blah blah blah. But then, as we know his history, we're like, okay, what happened with this dude? What happened? And you kind of know what's going on right now. And obviously, Lynn being thrown out by Angel it doesn't even surprise me.
No.
That's a bad combo.
Couple big personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Couple strong, so.
Yeah.
That's what you like to see from Lance Lynn, though, is that he has that strong personality, which is something they wanted to bring in, it seems like.
Oh, they brought Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Great leader. Every time you talk to teammates, the fiery, the fire he brings to the mound every time he pitches. It's contagious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That can get Liberatore or these young guys that are in there, Steven Matz, and who knows if it's gonna make the difference. Now you bring Lance Lynn. Yeah, he looks like he got ejected and he's fighting with umpires, but who knows if that's what they need. We have, like I always say, since I've been doing this, we have way too many nice guys.
Yes.
Think
100%.
about it. Think about it. When the good Cardinals, back in the days, they were nice. They were nice on the field. They could be the nicest guys outside, but when you went on the field, it's like a fight out there.
You had your brother, Albert, played with an edge. You had Tony leading this thing. You had Dave Duncan. You had Jimmy Edmonds. You had Scott Rowland. You had Larry Walker.
Yep.
I mean, those guys.
Fernando Vina.
Edgar Renteria. I mean, you're right. When they were between the white lines, it was an edge, and off the field, great people.
Hey, between the lines, we call it a fight. I mean, not literally fight, because we had our share of fights, but it is a fight against that other team.
Sure.
Now it's more like, okay, we need to win. Okay, yeah, we need to win. We lost. Okay, all right, let's go home. You know what I'm saying? So it changes.
Somebody else who has that fiery passion is Wilson Contreras. I know that we've talked extensively about everything that happened with him last season, but you said you were down there at spring training. What's the difference you've seen with Wilson Contreras this season going in?
I think he's more relaxed. He looks more like he left everything behind. Like his first year is not there. Mm-hmm. Like he's not thinking about it. Like he came to us, me and Polo, and we were talking for so long. And we were saying the same things. Like last year was so rough, and he really hurt. Don't get it wrong. He was really hurt, and he let us know. Like it destroyed my heart. But then he has to get out of there because he's still there.
Yeah.
And he still has to go catch, and he still got to go hit. Wilson, I said this earlier in spring training. He's gonna have an all-star season, because now he's like. Oh man, let's do this. I'm a catcher. I'm doing this. I don't have any trouble. Let's go. So I see Wilson having a really all-star season.
What have you seen out of Liberatore? You mentioned him earlier, and then Zach Thompson, a couple of guys that will be big parts of this team, whether it's in the rotation or the bullpen. So what have you seen from those two guys?
I saw they were up and down. They had a good 2 innings, and then they come back and have a, not so good 2 innings.
Sure.
Same way with Zach. He'll have a good 2 outings, and then a bad outing. So that's what you see. I think it's a lot of pressure knowing that you might not make the 5 starters, and knowing that they already have almost the whole bullpen set up. So where are you going to go? You're going to go to AAA, and they probably have it in their head, and I think it's a lot of pressure for them. But I love Zach Thompson. I love the guy, and I love how he pitch. Liberatore, I think he is going to get there, but it's going to take him a little more time.
A little bit more time. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know that the bullpen is still kind of shaping up right now, but is there any kind of other new faces that you've seen down there that could possibly be added to that bullpen that are making a big case for it?
There's a couple of them that are making a case. Off the top of my head, the names go out because they're minor league, obviously, but they are showing up that they can do it. But there's like 3 or 4 guys that come in and shut people down, and you're like, where the heck is this guy, and who the heck is this guy? Because they don't have the last name in their back.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to look it up in the book, but those guys, there's like 3 or 4 of them, and I wish I had their names so you guys can follow them. But I see the bullpen, the whole bullpen situation. I think it's resolved. I think they did a good job bringing new guys in. Our problem, I always thought that you put starters in the bullpen. 2, at least we always had 2. We had Hudson in the bullpen, or we have Liberatore.
Yep.
And those guys are not relievers. Let them win a job as a starter, and if they don't, send them down or trade them. But don't have them in the bullpen when they don't know how to warm up. They need more time to warm up because they are starters. So they took care of that by having relievers. Now relievers like Middleton and all those guys, they come in. The guy that came in from Seattle, he's legit, man. I mean, those guys are really, really good pitchers, but they are relievers only. They don't have to worry about one day, hey, you got a spot start. Now, hey, here you go. No, they are out there in the bullpen. They know when they're going to come in, and that's it. I think that's the biggest issue that the Cardinals address in this offseason.
It was Riley O'Brien is who you were thinking
O'Brien,
of.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Beisbol.
Baseball, yes.
In the classroom at Busch Stadium on Wednesday, April 10th. Again, the cost is just $15. And for kids, that includes entry into the pregame educational program, 1 ticket to the game, and a voucher for a jumbo hot dog, bag of chips, and a soda. So this has been great, man. I know you're looking forward to this. I see you all the time talking to kids and helping out kids. And you're to be, I'll say it publicly, you're to be commended for what you do.
Oh, man, thank you so much for those words. I think it's up to us. St. Louis has always been great too, Yadi, for so many years, and I was a witness of it. So I want to give back to the community. When I do these clinics, people are like the other day, a kid said, hey, how much you get paid for this? I bet you get paid a lot. I was like, I wish I could tell you, buddy. I don't get paid for these. I always tell the parents to donate to a charity. It's my pay.
That's great.
Just donate to Stray Rescue, for example.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the doggies or something that's needed. So I don't charge. But having that opportunity to give back to the community is great for me. And it's awesome for me, And it's like they took care of Yadi. Now Yadi's over there doing their thing. Now I'll take care of these guys,
It's great to see you again.
Thank you. It's good. Thank you for having me in the show and plenty of tickets available. I forgot.
Cardinals.com.
Opening day.
/team. Cardinals.com. Opening day tickets too.
Yeah,
get that out there too.
I know. I forgot. I was texting like, you have to say this. I was like, oh, okay. I got you.
It's great to have you in studio. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Bengie.
Bengie Molina. This is 101 ESPN. Back with more in a moment.
good to have versatility, but it's also good to show up to the park knowing that you're going to be in the lineup, hitting in this spot, playing this position. So when you have the Donovans and the Eddies, and I mean, we had guys that could bounce all over the place. And as good as it is to have that as a manager, you also, and as a player, you want to know where you're going to play and the position you're going to play every day. So I think these guys coming in knowing exactly that is going to be the key. So competition is good, but we do have a pretty set lineup going into this year, which I think, we talked about our defense last year, I think guys will have more stability there because of that as well, man.
That is Cardinals skipper Oli Marmol talking about how the Cardinals are looking to stay committed to a more consistent daily lineup. That's something that we talked about a lot, Dan, last year, is that you're wanting to see a more stable lineup, but then health happened. And so that's the other thing, is that in baseball, you're going to have injuries, you're going to have things that pop up. And of course you want a consistent lineup, but then all of your guys have to stay healthy and available at the same time as well.
You nailed it. Got to stay healthy. And if you stay healthy, then you're in the lineup. And then it also comes down to production and being able to produce at a high level, and the coaching staff seeing you to keep you in there. Beginning of the season, pretty long leash for a lot of guys to show what they can do. I'm sure like a Mason Wynn comes to mind, the younger players. I did find it interesting what Bengie had to say about Victor Scott, and it's something I've been saying, and I know we've been, talking about this as well, where it may be tough for him to break camp, and the thing that'll keep him out potentially is if a Nootbaar is healthy. You have Jordan Walker, you got Dylan Carlson, Michael Ciani. Look, I'd love to see him. I think it'd be so much fun to watch him because of the excitement that he brings. But you know what? You kind of have a set lineup, see how it goes at the beginning of the season, and then if it's not going well, start making some changes.
And that's what you have to do. I think that the Ciani part is very interesting because some people were texting and asking about that, as well as why would Ciani get a chance?
Well, I mean, if you don't want to start Victor Scott and start his clock and add him to the 40-man, and he becomes pretty expendable because you do have a couple of outfielders coming back. So Ciani is got a little major league experience, and it just gives you more depth if you don't want to start Victor Scott or some of the others.
I will say, I would love to see Victor Scott, but I am also a realist where I understand that that's probably highly unlikely that we'll see that unless, as Bengie mentioned, that there is some more injuries or this turns into something more serious for Lars Nootbaar. I think that I just personally always want to see the guys who are doing really, really well, and you play the hot hand going into it. Now, he hasn't played at the AAA level, so that could also not translate to the major league level.
What do you do then with Edman? What do you do with Nootbaar when they come back? You know, that's part of the equation here of what's happening. I do like, though, one of the things that Ali mentioned there is consistency in your lineup, which also would mean consistency with your defense. And defensively, they were not good last year. Their outfield was subpar for sure. They were near the bottom in terms of the defense and what they did as opposed to other teams. But the way I look at it is that they have a chance to be pretty good defensively if they're healthy every day with Nootbaar in left, Edman in center, and then Jordan Walker in right.
It would cause quite the conundrum, I guess is the best way to put it, in the outfield. Once again, if you did have Victor Scott here, where does Tommy Edman go? That would be very hard to see how that would all play out because it puts the Cardinals in a very tough position where they have to manage things, and you just signed Tommy Edman to an extension. Do you sometimes think that you wish, because maybe this is just me personally, that maybe they would have addressed the surgery a tad bit sooner with Tommy Edman? Because he had it in October. We know that Brendan Donovan had his a little bit sooner, but maybe he would have been able to progress a little bit sooner.
Not a doctor, but I would imagine that they thought, that he would be ready by opening day with something like this. And he even said as much. Yeah, just sometimes things happen with injuries and you can't get out on the field.
Exactly.
So who knows?
I think we did just kind of uncover that third variable that we weren't talking about earlier in the Victor Scott conversation, which is, again, if you do start him out of the gate, you start his clock. You use one of his options because you're going to send him down. Because
add him to the 40-man.
You got to add him to the 40-man, so that's going to be somebody else there as well. And then, again, you said it. What happens after everybody's healthy? Again, you're now using one of his options after starting his clock early because you're not bringing him up unless you're giving him everyday time. And you just heard Marmol say it. They want to give the people they already have more consistent at-bats and more consistency just overall across the season, and knowledge that we're not going to use 135 different lineups across 162 games. That's another variable that I kind of have to give the Cardinals some credit in that if we can't have are cake and eat it too, in that you're not going to get both a more consistent lineup and have a bunch of young guys getting their chance out of nowhere. Those two things aren't congruent. They can't both happen.
I would say this too, that if they get off to a slow start, you're a month in and there's a slow start and you need a jump, this would be the guy, as long as he's performing down in the minor leagues. And even if he's not, unless he's completely overmatched at AAA, which I wouldn't anticipate with what he's doing here in spring training, then you give the team a jolt and bring him up and see what he can do.
Speaking of a consistent lineup, how do you think that they will manage the DH position this season? Because you have Nolan Gorman, who it seems like they don't believe that he can be an everyday positional player. You have, I'm assuming that Wilson Contreras is not going to always be, of course, he'll take a lot of the load there, but you have Herrera, who could possibly enter that conversation as well. Will he have more games? Will he be a part of the conversation? It seems like you also have to manage that, and you have Brendan Donovan, by the way.
Yeah, Donovan's going to get some at-bats. I would imagine that happens there, although Donovan, to me, if you're a good defensive club, and we were talking about this just moments ago, he's got to play second base just about every day. Nolan Gorman, the name that you didn't mention, though, is Alec Burleson.
Yes.
That would be another one that you find at bats for. Obviously, you're talking about the big bat of Nolan Gorman, which we said needs to be in this lineup time and again. And Contreras. The other part of this is, who do you make a utility guy? I mean, that's something, too. What if Victor Scott comes up and he's just lights out? What happens to Tommy Edman? Does he become your utility man? He just signed a 2-year deal. Contracts play, experience plays at the big league level.
I mean, because a texture hit that exact same thing. Well, you just move Tommy Edman to second base. And my option is, okay, well, then what do you do with Donovan and Gorman every day? Well, you can DH Gorman, but I guess the big question becomes, who is your utility guy? Is it Edman or Donovan? I would argue that
Donovan's at second base for me.
I would argue that Donovan has a higher ceiling than Tommy Edman does. And so I would argue that you can't just you got to keep giving Donovan every day at bats. In the same vein, you got to get everybody else every day at bats. So that's why it's a legitimate logjam. The simple answer isn't just, well, you just turn one of those guys into a utility player. Like you said, Edman just got an extension. There's money tied up in those guys. They've created these log jams, and you just said it. It's not about versatility. They want to focus on consistency, and I think they've kind of backed themselves up. The good thing is, you can trade some of these guys for pitching.
There you go.
There you go. At the trade deadline. Hey, that's what you do there. That's Rocc, Dan, and I'm Brooke. Coming up next, we actually, because it's my bad, guys, I did a terrible part of managing the clock and making sure that we could get in a full Uncle Randy. So we're going to do another version of Uncle Randy where you can talk to Uncle Dan, Aunt Brooke, and Cousin Rocc. Coming up next, so get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! We're going to have an extended Uncle Randy coming up next. Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. As you know, the weather has been up and down here recently. One day it's just really cold outside. The next day it's really warm. But where you shouldn't be feeling all those temperature changes is inside your home. So you should call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct to avoid the cold and all that weird, crazy weather. And you may be wondering, can windows really make that big of a difference? Here's the thing. They really can. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which helps keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other Windows systems. So call Universal Windows Direct today at 314-334-2522 for your free in-home estimate. And for every 2 windows you buy, you get 2 for free. So buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. There's really no limit to what you can do here. Plus, they'll upgrade your new windows to triple pane glass for free, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Tell them that I told you to call, and you can also get this huge benefit, additional $250 off your next project. So for the last windows you'll ever need, go to universalwindowsdirect.com, and like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back from a long road trip to start a 4-game homestand. Tonight is their first game against the LA Kings down at Enterprise Center. It's an earlier game, 6:30 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 5:30. Also in action tonight, St. Louis Billikens in the second round of the A10 tournament as they won yesterday against Rhode Island. They face off against Duquesne tonight at 7:30. Also, your Cardinals back in action today, 12:05. First pitch against the Twins. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rocc here, and we are doing a redo, or a continuation is the better way to phrase it, of Uncle Randy. And of course, Randy's not here. He will be back next week, but we still have a pretty good wealth of knowledge in this room, especially with Danny Mac being in here, and Rocc and I combined for some knowledge, so it counts for something.
I called it the rollover on the sheet.
There we go.
Brooke.
Uncle Randy Rollover. So get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line. That is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YOHO, to get in your text to all of us, Uncle Dan and Brooke. And should I call you uncle or cousin?
We'll go with cousin.
Okay, there you go. Cousin Rocc.
I'm nowhere close to actually being an uncle.
There you go.
So, yeah, we'll go with cousin. We'll go with cousin.
What do we have on the text line?
Well, it might be past Valentine's Day, but that still doesn't mean that people aren't constantly asking Uncle Randy questions surrounding their significant other and their love life. And here's another one. Hey, opening drive team, my wife's birthday is next week, and I want to do something special for her. We haven't gotten as much time together in the past year due to being new parents, so I'm getting a sitter and taking her to dinner. Any other ideas for making the night special? First of all, great move overall, and congratulations on the new kid.
Oh, congratulations.
Brooke, you are better to answer this question. What would you like from the female perspective? Although by getting dinner and also a sitter, you're already on the first step towards a direction.
You're starting off well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say just, spend it. Can you reread that just for me real quick, just so I'm making sure that I get
the wife's birthday is next week, and I want to do something special for her. We haven't gotten as much time together in the past year due to being new parents, so I'm getting a sitter, and I'm taking her to dinner. Any other ideas to make that night special?
I think that's very special. I think that you're honestly on the right track. First of all, it's very sweet for you to understand and notice that maybe she needs some time, right, Dan, to herself and to take her out to a nice dinner.
Absolutely. Take her to
Something
her
else.
favorite restaurant.
Okay, yeah, favorite restaurant, and there's so many good restaurants in town. One of my favorites is Palmano's, thanks to Dan. He got me into that for the first time, and now I'm obsessed.
You're hooked?
I'm hooked. Anything Italian is romantic. Something else to do. Maybe, is it weird to go to a museum or something like that? There's a lot of good
we have
stuff
great
at the
museums here in
museums.
St. Louis.
Yeah, I think that's another good thing. Movies. But I honestly have not been to the movie in a while.
What was the last movie you guys saw? I saw Oppenheimer in the movie theater, but prior to that, I couldn't remember.
Killers of the Flower Moon, I last saw in theater, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in a theater tomorrow to watch Dune 2. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm about them movies.
This is for, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I got wrapped in accidentally into watching Mean Girls because I think that my friends thought that it was going to be the same, and it's a musical. So that was a nice surprise for everybody in the theater.
So, Brooke, this is for you. Ravens looks like they'll be getting Derrick Henry, according
Dan,
to sources.
Why do you have to
So, with you having a background in Tennessee, are you upset with what's going on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Dan. I've been saying that he was going to the Ravens. I knew 100% it was going to happen. That offense is going to look really scary. Him with the combo of Lamar Jackson is going to be terrifying to see. And we're just continuing with the Titans, seeing some greats go over to the Ravens. You had Derek Mason. You had Steve McNair. It feels like the list just keeps getting longer and longer. And now Derrick Henry with that deal.
What do you got, Rocc?
Oh, I like some of these answers, by the way. Somebody said take her to the Ferris wheel, the Botanical Gardens. I think it's a good idea because here's the thing. You are new parents, which I assume means you're not getting a lot of great sleep. So maybe don't do the movie theater because that just means nap time. Maybe do the movie theater because that means nap time. I'm not sure. The way the Botanical Gardens or something like that, the Ferris wheel, you're walking around, you're getting out and about into the city. That gets you, feels a little bit more lively. I liked those extra ideas from the text line. But we did have another one here. It was from... The 636, they say, Dear Uncle Randy and crew, my dad really wants to go to a city game. Me and my brother thought about getting tickets for Father's Day for him. Trouble is, my wife is a gigantic soccer fan, and if she doesn't go, she's going to be totally left out, and I will have a week of headache on my hands. What should I do?
Ooh.
I think you just might have to
buy an extra ticket.
I think you just might have to go for 4 tickets there, champ.
Yeah.
I think you're just going to have to bite the bullet on that 4th ticket. That's the only thing there.
Yeah, you're going to have to get another ticket.
Right answer.
Yeah, you're going to have to get an extra ticket. That's the only good advice. I don't, Dan, I can't even think of any other way other than you have to do it.
I don't think so. I mean, if you told her, hey, stop and let me do this with my father and you can watch it on Apple TV, that probably wouldn't go over well.
No,
probably wouldn't do it.
You would come home to the silent treatment.
Yes, you would. I like what the 314 said here. Get her a facial and pedicure.
Yes.
Maybe
then,
before your date.
Yeah, to Auntie Brooke, something else. Get the nails done before it. And that makes it even more special. So she gets a little pampering before she goes.
Do you pamper yourself? Like, do you get your nails done? And,
oh, yeah. Look at these, Dan. I'll show the YouTube as well. Yeah.
Absolutely adorable and gorgeous.
Maybe even see if she wants you on. Maybe she wants you to get the a pedicure with her. Guys, if you're not getting pedicures, you're not living life to your full. So I'm just going to say
you get pedicures.
Oh, I love them, Danny. They're one of my favorite things on this planet. They are the best.
Right now.
They are the best. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm just taking it all in, bro.
Have you ever gotten a pedicure?
No.
Do yourself a favor, my friend. It is a game changer. It's a life changer.
Yeah, Dan, get those.
Trust me.
Get those little feetsies out.
No, I don't.
Oh my God, it's a game changer, Dan. I believe you me. The amount of stress that escapes from your body, it's the most fantastic thing in the world. I understand why women are obsessed with them.
Okay.
They're the best things in the world. Do it. Dear Uncle Danny and crew, what should I do when I'm zoning out while my wife is talking and I notice that her lips stop moving? Think fast, friend. That's what you got to do. And duck.
Yeah, think fast. That's where also the pedicure can come into play, where it's like, you really need to. It sounds like you have maybe she's talking or venting and you zoned out. Maybe you say, how about you? Here's my card. Go get a pedicure. Is that a good way to walk your way out of that? Because then you might be in trouble if you're just said, what?
I've done that a lot. I just said, what?
David does it to me, too.
And she's like, come on, man. You got to be paying attention. I said, I was zoned out a minute ago. I have no idea what you're talking about. Matter of fact, that happens on this show. I listen to Rocc every once in a while. I listen to Brooke. I listen to Randy.
It happens.
I have no idea what's going on. And I fully admit it. I'm just like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It happens.
You know, I just zone out. It's
I think
early in
we've
the
all done-
morning.
especially when it's in the morning.
Yes.
Coffee can only do so much for me, Dan.
So what time do you get up to do the show?
I get up at 5:15 because I feed Stevie and take her out. That's the dog, by the way. I didn't want you to think that if I had a child that I'm talking about my child.
Or just some random guy that lives with you?
Yeah, you know, I have David, I have Stevie.
The local drifter, you know, we need to make sure he gets fed for the day. He gets a little attitude if not.
Yeah, he gets very angry if you do not feed him on time. But yeah, I take Stevie out and then I usually start getting ready.
I can't now get that out of my mind. Hey, Stevie, come on, it's time for a walk. And it's just the guy that lives with us.
He just lives there.
David's just sitting there like, I mean, I'd like to go for a walk too, but I guess not.
I love this guy's response. 314 says, fake a leg cramp and then go down, exclamation point. Then ask her, what were you saying? That would work. Got a hammy. Well, I'm sorry. What did you have to say?
No, because you know what the response would be. Oh, you always have to make it about you, huh?
Probably right. Probably right.
It can go sideways real quick.
Says when you zone out listening and she stops talking, just simply say, well, how did that make you feel?
How did that make you feel?
It's probably part of the conversation. That's true for sure.
We got 3 in a row here, by the way. Dan, do it. It's amazing. Swallow your pride. They're talking, of course, about the pedicure.
Okay.
Is it a pride thing or is it just... I feel like,
Tony says, Danny Rocc is 100% right. My daughter and I go once a month for a pedicure. Game changer. That's a good
Maybe
father right
it's
there.
because I feel sorry for the person that would have to operate on my toes and feet.
You give them a nice tip. Like
I was going to do that anyway.
I understand that part about it. I don't think that my feet are like the most attractive thing in the world. But after you get the first pedicure, you start going on a regular amount, your feet stay pretty, normal, and then you don't feel bad anymore.
I will say one thing. I actually base the nail salons that I go to on how many men are getting massages because I know that if a man's getting a massage in there, a foot massage, that they're going to be really, really good at it.
That's half the reason I get the pedicure. It's not because I'm painting my nails. It's because they do
Believe me, I've seen your pink toesies. Don't you try to hide that from us.
Listen, this just shows you don't know me. They're purple every time.
Oh.
Have you ever seen what I wear into this show? It's always purple. 100% purple, 100% of the time. But a lot of people are saying you gotta do it. My girlfriend talked me into getting a pedicure for the first time with her about a week ago, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it. That's from the 618.
Okay, there's got to be another one that's not pedicure related at this point. I think you've tried your best to convince Dan, but look, Dan, there's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to do it.
Well, if you saw Robert Kraft or Deshaun Watson walking out of that particular...
No, that's why I specifically said foot massage. I knew that somebody, of course, 636, I knew immediately that somebody was going to bring that up.
It's terrible. I feel like I'm Randy right now.
I'll pivot from a completely non-sports one, and I will say, though, that there are certain athletes in this city who do enjoy getting pedicures. I'm not going to tell you who, because I've walked into different salons and seen them getting pedicures and leg and foot massages for the exact same reason.
You're just following around these athletes.
Did you ask for an autograph?
No.
Just say, hey, we're here to get pedis. Would you mind signing this?
Give them a head nod. I'm not going to bother them when they're out like in public like that. Get out of here. So we'll go from a non-sports one to a very. I would never talk to them during it. I barely even tried to give them the head nod. I was like, I don't want them to know that I'm here. Dear Opening Drive family, what are the reasons that Army would never buy out a contract, including this season? It confuses the hell out of me. It's the weirdest thing in St. Louis sports that we never talk about.
Is like his off season,
or just the fact that he's never done it, and it seems to be like a point of pride to him that he's never had to do it.
Never say never. I'm sure that if needed, that he would be willing to do it. It's just maybe they haven't had the chance yet.
Well, speaking of the 314 and the Blues, me and my buddies took one of our girlfriends out for a pedicure for her birthday, and we decided to get our toes painted blue and yellow. Blues won the cup just 3 months later. Randy got a tattoo. You did your toes. Blues won the cup. Blues won the cup.
So now they have to continually get their toes painted. I need to know if they're going to do this forever. They need to go and get another pedicure is what they need to do.
Probably. You got 17 games to go. Better hurry.
I was trying to pivot to talking about how they should buy out a defenseman contract.
Oh, I wouldn't. That's one of those things I was zoned out on.
Dan's like, anyways, pedicures.
I just heard Blues, and then I saw the text line.
Stop talking about pedicures. I try to pivot. Danny's like, hey, here's one about pedicures.
Maybe one more. If you want to do one more pedicure, sure. Go ahead. Any other spa ideas for people?
Yes, there's two different ones here. 314 says, we have a spa right next door, and I've never seen a man walk in there. 573 on the other side says, it is very healthy for your feet.
Okay.
Are you convinced yet, Dan?
Yeah, I think I am convinced. I think I may do this. I may have to go do this. I'm not sold on it yet.
Oh, Boys Day with Rocc, you and Randy. I feel like we have to make this happen. Boys
Three
Day.
best friends, and I am. They're the three.
And listen, again, I don't get them painted, but the clear coat's a winner.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. You get a clear coat on your.
It keeps the toes clean the entire month. Oh, I do the clear coat. I have no problem admitting that. I've thought about doing the manicure. I have never done one before because I have really bad cuticles and I get really bad dry skin on my fingers. But I've thought about it before because I bet the clear coat's it's just on there for like a month and it keeps everything clean. It's fantastic.
Do you ever think like when these ladies see you to come in and get your pedi that they are like, oh God, he's here. Why do you take him this time?
They're like doing rock, paper, scissors in the back.
That's why I give them a big tip. They chose that profession, not me. I'm supposed to feel bad about that one?
Okay.
All right.
I'm very nice to them. I tip them very well.
Well, that's Rocc, Dan. I'm going to try to segue my way out of this. That's Rocc, that's Dan, I'm Brooke. And that was our pedicure segment. Coming up next, we have Rocc and Roll.
If you're looking for a way to play Pick'em here in Missouri, Underdog Fantasy's newest Pick'em product is active here in Missouri, Pick'em Champions. Just like any Pick'em, you're going to pick 2 to 5 players for your entry. select higher or lower on the player stat projections, and you're going to pick your entry fee and put in a game alongside other underdogs. Doesn't matter what game you're put into. If you hit your entries, you are taking home your share of the money. Let's build an entry for today because we have a Blues game going. So I'm going to take Thomas higher than 1.5 shots. I'm going to take Pavel Buchnevich also higher than 2.5 shots. And then we're going to add in a little NBA for a third play here. It's going to be Tyrese Halliburton of the Pacers going off against the Knicks. So I'm going to take him higher in pretty much every category. Specifically, I'm going to go higher than 34.5 points, assists, and rebounds. Like I said, you can always wait until later on this afternoon. Check out Underdog Fantasy on X to make it a fourth pick. Or here's what you can do. You can put in promo code ROCK and you can get a special first-time pick'em entry, and that'll take your entry from 3 to 4. Just like that. So easy. Underdog Fantasy, super easy to use and even easier to get started. Like I said, you can go to that easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. You just sign up with the promo code ROCC-ROCK, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick'em entry. Just like that, you're taking your entry from 3 to 4, and you're going to win more money that way. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more, up to $100 match, plus that special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Control with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ntbgambling.org.
And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Selection Sunday is almost here. Get signed up to play in this year's Bracket Madness Pick'em Challenge. Register to participate now at 101ESPN.com. It's free to enter, and this year's top scorer will take home a $250 Amazon gift card and a one-on-one prize pack. See the contest rules and get signed up to play in Bracket Madness now at 101ESPN.com. Brought to you by Bud Light and Twin Peaks. Rock, what do we have in Rock and Roll?
This is going to blow your mind, but I actually do have a pedicure story.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
We had already closed out the pedicure segment.
I'm kidding.
We did a whole pedicure segment.
I'm completely making that up. I do not have any more. Although the texts are still rolling in, and I wish I could read them because they're hilarious. Finding out a lot about our listeners today on the text line. No, I love it. I wanted to pull one other thing from that incredible interview, run of interviews, I should say, that the Foul Territory guys did with the Cardinals at the end of last week, because we talked with Bengie earlier about them bringing in a group of different relievers this year and how the roles are more stratified. I know we already talked about that with the lineup, but I think the bullpen is also interesting. This is John Mozeliak talking with the guys on Foul Territory about his mindset and how he went out about getting those new bullpen pitchers this past offseason.
Really, I just wanted flexibility in the bullpen. When you think about someone like Kittredge, who actually pitched in 1 through 11 innings. So he started a game, finished a game.
Are you going openers this year?
No, we're not. But the thing that's sort of interesting, though, is just having the ability to have someone that's not tied to a role mentally. And I think a lot of times in our organization, we tend to be very distinct in how we use pitchers and when we use pitchers. So I think in Middleton's case and in Kittredge's case, they're like, hey, high leverage, put me in.
I liked the comments there from Mo that it wasn't about the velocity, although I kind of wish we could get something, like standard. Like he says, we're going to focus on adding more velocity, and then 6 months later after the term's over, we weren't really worried about velocity. We were worried about flexibility.
He did say they wanted swing and miss, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And so I don't like the change in that, but I do kind of like the perspective he's talking about of having the flexibility in the rotation. I still wish they would have focused more on the velocity in the swing and miss aspect, though.
Well, I thought they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Middleton, you look at Kittredge, you look at Riley O'Brien. Yeah, you're going to get some swing and miss. The flexibility, too, at the back end of the bullpen I like. So 8-9, I got Kittredge, Middleton, Helsley, and Gallegos, if Gallegos has a bounce-back year. So I've said this from day one, and I think it's a strength of this team. We'll see if it plays out, but I think it's their bullpen.
I think so, too. I think that the bullpen is a huge improvement from last season. Of course, your starting rotation had its issues last year, but when it came to things that they needed to address this season, I believe that it was one starting rotation, but then 1A was bullpen.
How about just pitching overall?
That's a great way to put that. Yeah, because you had to. I was very curious, though, how they would really redo the bullpen and what pieces they would move around.
It's amazing, the roster turnover that they've had, in particular with the pitching side of things. It's a big part of the percentage that they've turned over on this roster.
They really have.
The big issue last year with the bullpen wasn't necessarily the bullpen's quality. It was the fact that in May, Mike Claiborne was on the show saying this bullpen's going to get absolutely worn out by Flag Day with the way the starting pitching's going. So with the fact that you already have the injury to Sonny Gray, I know he's probably going to be back pretty quickly. Were there enough changes, though, in the starting lineup to not have the same issue with the bullpen? I understand that they got inning eaters, but just overall, are we completely not worried about another issue where it's the starting lineup that's overtaxing the bullpen, and that's why everything's cracking by July?
Well, the other part of that is, of course, yes, Claves isn't wrong there, but the other part is that they didn't have the pitching depth, so their bullpen, the guys that they were running out the same ones over and over again, so that's why it was actually a plus to have some of those trades because of the pitching talent you were able to acquire.
Gibson and Lynn, that's why you brought him in, at least in my opinion. You wanted innings, and with Lynn, you wanted that edge. It was interesting what Bengie said. You got to have guys in between the white lines that have that rusty nail, that edge. Lance Lynn's going to give you that. He's going to give you some innings, and as long as they stay healthy, they should be able to save the bullpen, and Sonny Gray would go deeper into games, probably 6 innings to 7 innings on a good night. They should be able to save the bullpen a little bit better than they did a year ago.
Exactly. All right, well, that is the end. We're wrapping things up, guys. It went by really fast.
Off to a pedicure.
We are. Group pedicures coming up. I know what Dan's doing today, and so is Rocc.
I wish I had a pedicure today, man.
Well, great show today, guys. Thank you, Rocc.
Thanks, Brooke.
Enjoy your pedicure later.
Come on.
And thank you, Dan. It's always great talking to you.
You too. Pleasure.
And next, we have the balloon party coming up with Tim and Action Jackson. I said Jackson.